Welcome in, McElroy, Cubelic in the morning, 7 a.m. Birmingham, Alabama. 7th seed of days. It's Tuesday, and we got a great show lined up for you today. We got Pat Dly, who will join us from Gainesville, coming up here in about 15 minutes, talk about what the Gators have going on. A lot of buzz about quarterbacks for the Florida Gators, because if there's one thing I've learned is that a performance against Samford is an indicator of future results. We also have Andy Burcham coming up at 8 o'clock and Gabe Iier, who will join us at 9 o'clock, help us break down what's going on with the Oklahoma Sooners. They're just a week away from hosting Tennessee, and Oklahoma's got problems along their offensive line. It's not good right now. They're struggling offensively, and good news, their defense is good, but they got Tulane this week, and Tulane gave Kansas State all they want, and that won't necessarily be an easy pushover game. So great guests today with some very timely topics and some things that we will look forward to discussing. It's amazing to me. I continue to be amazed by how many people just think pressing eject on the quarterback position is what's going to solve all your problems. Sometimes I really wonder if people actually watch the games. I really do. Sometimes I'm genuinely curious. Because, I mean, I know sometimes, look, you look at the stat sheet and you come away and draw conclusions and say, yep, you know what, that's my guy. That guy can't play. We draw conclusions on guys based off of the box score. And I understand that in some cases. But guess what? The Texas Tech quarterback in the Mike Leach era was not the best quarterback in the country, even though he probably threw for more yards than anybody on a weekly basis. Like, people need to go back and watch Payton Thorne's game from Saturday. And if you've made up your mind on him, fine. But if you think all 4 interceptions were because I had a friend tell me yesterday there was inexcusable decisions. I'm sorry. Did the right tackle allow his arm to get hit on the second pick? Did the receiver on the first pick stop running? Did the back shoulder throw that he made on the third pick, was that not just a great defensive play? Like, sometimes people make great defensive plays. They're on scholarship too. Fourth pick, he was pressing. Agree with that. Not a good decision there. What about DJ Lagway? Oh, this guy, he clearly can't miss. He's got to replace Graham Mertz, the guy that went 24-3.
No, DJ's the guy.
He's absolutely the guy. No, he's, because honestly, beating an FCS team and having one pressure. No, literally one. I counted. One pressure the whole day. He had a perfectly clean pocket. He had receivers running wide open.
He did it, though.
He must be the answer, because Graham Mertz got his teeth kicked in against Miami because your offensive line couldn't protect. But yeah, we got to go with the guy that has yet to let us down. Even though if you actually watch DJ against Miami, it wasn't good. I'm just amazed at how everyone thinks, we'll just pulling the plug on the quarterback will solve all our problems. It's like it makes people feel better to say that. Because here's my thing, Cole. To fix other areas on your team is hard to do. Like, to fix your offensive line and to recruit better offensive linemen and better, more talented group up front is hard. That takes time. To improve other positions on the field that are really not great, but they have 5 stars, so they must be great. To improve other positions on the field is expensive and challenging. To identify the coach as maybe a guy that has a potential blind spot is not a comfortable feeling. Like, those things are tough. And I'm not using that as an example. I'm just saying bigger picture problems are harder to solve than just, put the next quarterback in. Because that's got to be the answer to all your problems. I guess I just have a hard time understanding, like, why is the quarterback the first one to get ejected?
It's always been this way. It's not going to change. And it's the player who has the ball in his hand on 98% of snaps in every single game. It's the player who is most responsible for usually teams offensively having success or failure. And as you stated earlier, doesn't always mean based on how many times they throw or don't throw the football. But that's the guy that a lot of people are always going to point to. You and I have seen teams where the left guard is just awful and getting teams beat, but not a lot of people are going to say that
no,
or want that. I mean, hell, we've seen offensive linemen on really good teams And you and I have known that there have been liabilities, and people will defend said player because, well, he starts. He's a starter. He's a returning starter. How can he be bad? How can he not be good?
Do people just not watch the games?
No,
Like,
but they don't
look
look
at
the
the
thing, Greg.
nuance.
Like I also think that, and this is where this becomes an interesting maybe or a difficult conversation or a conversation that's not worth having. I don't know. Maybe we need a poll question to ask that. I don't really know the answer to that question that I just asked myself.
Yeah.
People have made up their minds. We've been in this situation before. We've seen this before. I believe right now Payton Thorne is in that boat where people have made up their minds. They don't care. It doesn't matter. They've seen what they've seen. It's over. They're moving on. And they just want what's next. And it's not always better. It's not always, grass is not always greener. But I think people, fans, specifically fanatics of a team, they just want what's next. Just turn the page. Give me the next thing. We've seen it with coaches. We've seen it with players, specifically quarterbacks, because most people view it, Greg, as that's the position that can impact the team the most. Therefore, the next guy could potentially come in and being a little bit better will make things a lot better. So, listen, I haven't seen the other kids practice. So I don't know.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Hank Brown is the next Brett Favre or, I don't know. Seen him throw what, like 22 passes in games in his career, maybe? Yeah. So I can't tell you what the guy is. I don't know what Walker White is. No idea. But I do know what some of the things that Greg said are real. And I tried to say them yesterday, so I don't feel like I need to continue to go into it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sit here and say the guy got hit when he threw 2 picks. There was 28 seconds left in the game. You're pressing to try to go down and win the game. Was it a bad throw? Sure. But okay. I actually wanted to get your take on the back shoulder interception because there was part of me that wondered how much that was on the receiver.
I think the receiver kept going, but I do think it was a great defensive play. I mean, he played the back shoulder. It was a good play. I mean, simple as that. Sometimes you get got. Like, was it, if you go watch Clemson week 1, Malachi Starks' interception, was that on Klubnik or was that just a great defensive play?
But there's one, and so I want to ask, I'll just ask the listeners this. Should a coach ever be tuned into the fan base? Because I had a couple Auburn fans that I'm friends with text me Saturday, I guess it was early evening when this game ended. What time did that game end? 6:30-ish, 7-ish?
2:31 felt like.
I was inside the stadium kind of, just getting ready for our game. And I had multiple friends of mine that are Auburn fans text me and say, quarterback lost the fan base today.
Did he lose it today or did he lose it last year?
Probably last year, but most folks willing to give him another chance and say, you know what, I'll give it a go. We'll give it a shot.
Either way, if you're punting on him already, he lost you last year.
Okay. And that might be real, and that's fine. 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX, 205-834-9450. You want to text in. You could always tweet it at Mac and Cube. You can go to YouTube, search Jocks945. You can get in the chat there. We'll try to check on those.
But it works. Here's the thing is it works the other direction too.
But hold on. I'm asking the listeners, should a coach be in tune with the fan base? Do you want your coach, because this is what people are saying right now. Quarterbacks lost the fan base. Fan base is over it. Fan base wants a new guy. Should a coach care what you think? You pay for tickets. You give to the NIL. I'm asking a fair question. Should the coach care what you think? I personally don't think so. I bet if you asked a lot of athletic directors, they would disagree with that. No. We need them to keep spending their money. No. We need them to keep coming to the game. Because I do think there are going to be two sides to this. One, I spend my hard-earned money on your tickets. I expect to see a good product on the field. Two, I trust the coach. He knows better. I think it's going to be almost that cut and dry. I really do. I believe that, Greg. So further your point, I apologize for interrupting.
No, you're good. I think you should support the coach no matter what, but I'll be curious to hear how everybody feels. But it also works the other direction. Do you realize that Nico Iamaleava's Heisman odds improved drastically based on his performance on Saturday?
Did he throw 2 picks?
Yeah, did he look good?
One was tipped.
Did he look good? No, he didn't. But people have already made up their mind that he is the greatest quarterback to put on orange and white since Peyton Manning. And he might very well become that. He's just not there yet.
But I think it's a lot easier to.
But it works both directions.
It does, but
like
I think
you make up your mind about a guy, and he's going to be either the GOAT.
There you go. I mean, yeah.
Or the other.
If your mind is
GOAT.
made up, sure. But also, how about this? It's a lot easier to have blinders on with an individual's mistakes when you kick the hell out of a Power 5 team and your defense plays lights out and you run the ball really well. Now, and I'm not saying that the quarterback is responsible, not responsible, more responsible, less responsible for any of that. But it does help you. It does help blind out the potential mistakes that a quarterback makes. You're like, oh, we ran for 222. Who cares? Our defense had 13 tackles for loss. Played lights out. Like, you can focus in and use your positive energy on those things. Well, when your defense is letting a guy pick you apart, like he's throwing darts in a bar, or you're not able to run the football on a regular basis, or you actually lose at home to a team that has inferior talent, it's much easier to go focus on those quarterback mistakes, is my point.
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, but it works in a million different directions. Like, the only quarterback that has bad performances and still gets to for whatever reason to like endure is Shedeur Sanders right now. like Shedeur Sanders holds the ball forever. I mean, I'm just gonna say his offensive line's not good. It's not, but he holds it too long. Like, if the offensive line is as bad as it is, like, get rid of the ball.
What about the offensive game plan also? To keep asking your quarterback to take said drops, knowing that you cannot protect.
There's a lot of issues with what they have going on offensively right now, and their refusal to hand the ball off is one of them, for sure. But I mean, it's like some guys can do no wrong, some guys can do no right, and usually it's not about what's actually on the field. It's usually about the perception and how they're covered, and how if there's that 5, it's how they're how many stars they had in recruiting. It's funny what people latch onto, and they refuse to acknowledge that a guy has progressed. Or, dude, Brady Cook got booed in week 2 of last year at Missouri. Last year.
Not 2 years ago.
Not week 1. Week 2.
Last year. The year that they
won the Cotton Bowl.
Won a New Year's Day Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Booed.
Greg Skipworth in the chat on YouTube, Jocks945, search us there. You can watch us live every morning. I think the biggest problem is Coach Freeze. He's revamped his staff, more involved in the offense. Thorne is the only option. Auburn won't win 5 games if he isn't starting. I don't know how many fans, and I'm not saying that Greg's wrong there, but I don't know how many fans or observers of said team are on board with that. Otis in the chat, Coach Freeze should tell them to urine off. I'm not even sure I can say that on the air, can I? I said worse things.
Urine's good. That's one with urine.
Like, this one was weird ones.
Correct, yeah.
Who'd have for life? Chris Field says, nah, fans overreact to everything. Fair. All right, let's go to Jimmy in Hoover. Wants to chime in. Jimmy, welcome into the show. Jimmy. Jim. Good stuff. Hastings. You're on the Buyers Right hotline.
Yeah, hey guys. 2 days in a row. Great to talk to you. I figured I would eat the time from today into yesterday. So, no, dude, coaches should not listen to fans. You're talking about fan bases who think the best quarterback is always the backup quarterback. And when Tom Brady got hurt, Jimmy Garoppolo came in there, did a good job. People were calling for Tom to be benched in place of Jimmy because they thought Tom was old. And wasn't it last year where everybody wanted to see Tyler Buckner take over for Jalen Milroe? And looked how that turned out. Tyler Buckner couldn't hit a Bear's rear end with a
He
base
won a
fiddle.
national championship, Hastings. Tyler Buckner did.
Tyler Buckner was the chosen. He was supposed to take over for Jack Cohn at Notre Dame too. But every Notre Dame fan wanted him.
He's a national champion.
Hey, if he has some eligibility, I'd put him back in after watching Notre Dame on Saturday. But no, don't listen to fans. The coaches are the ones who see the practice, and the coaches are the ones who make the decisions based on practice. And it is so hard for players outside of practice, if they're not executing, to be just game time players. Now, you got those freak scenarios, but you can't listen to the fan base because, like, I think whoever just texted in, they overreact to everything. Absolutely true. So keep doing what you're doing, Hugh Freeze. Auburn fans, you'll be all right. All right, appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Hastings.
I mean, that's
I do feel like
thing.
that one could be taken out of context. Like, you just lost a cow. Keep doing what you're doing from a Bama fan.
Yeah, he might be happy with it.
Keep going with that.
Fair enough.
Keeping Jarquez on the bench.
But
Thanks, Coach.
here's the thing, though. I mean, shoot, man. Like Riley Leonard was everybody's All-American after he won at A&M, and this week they want to replace him.
Did not look good. Holy hell, that offensive line. One guy in particular, I'm not going to say his number.
Well, I'll tell you.
I stopped watching it.
There was one guy
plane,
who's-
Greg. I was on the plane. I watched about 5 series, and I said, "This is disgusting."
You
I'm not
stopped watching film.
I watched another game.
Well,
I was like, I'm
we
not
don't
watching
need-
more of this.
Can you just explain to me why that guy's feet are 3 inches apart when he's trying to block?
All I know is that little number 0 for Northern Illinois. He's Damien's height, about 290. And then the cat with the long hair, the defensive end, that honestly, he looks like a 1989 designated hitter who smokes in the dugout. And he's out there just chasing Riley Leonard all over the place. Tackles for loss, blowing up, pulling guards. Like, this guy's incredible. I don't even remember his number.
I almost took like 3 or 4
Just
videos.
find Kenny
of their
Powers on the
offensive
Northern
line.
Illinois D-line.
I
That's him.
almost took about 3 or 4 videos of the offensive line and sent them to you yesterday. It was very frustrating.
I bet his number had a 7 and a 0 in it.
Yeah,
Gah!
there's some bad ones. The other thing that I'm kind of amazed by is just the assumption. This just will always blow my mind. The assumption that in today's day and age, we just saw Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher get fired, and they wrote a check for $70+ million. Correct? Like, there is no shortage of funds to fire a coach. Like, Billy Napier is coaching for his life right now. They owe him a ton of money. And Florida's not exactly like, they're not Texas rich. They're not, I mean, they're wealthy, but they're not Texas rich. Tom Herman, they wrote a big check to send him off. Gus Malzahn's been sent off. Harson's been sent off.
That one went over the weekend?
What?
The Tom Herman experiment?
Yeah, I know they lost to Army. But anyways, moving forward though, like, there's no shortage of cash to like get who you want. I mean, I think they're still playing Gus Malzahn and Harsin down on the plains. I still think that's going on. So all that being said,
Wait, you still think they're paying him?
Malzahn and Harsin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus some.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it stops there.
I didn't realize they're still playing Tuberville. That makes sense. It's wild. But anyways, long story short, looking at where things are, it's amazing to me that people think that coaches are trying to cut their nose off to spite their face. They are coaches. They are out there to win games. And if you think they would ever take the field with somebody that did not give them the best chance to win games, it's lunacy. Like, it really is. Like, they watched the practice. They observed the tape. They've watched thousands upon thousands of reps. We watch about 1,000 over the course of a 12-game season. They watch thousands of reps. Like, they would never start the guy that would, if they would start, they're starting who they think gives them the best chance. Always, right? And sometimes there's gamers that turn on the light, then you put them in the lineup and they play great, but they look terrible in practice.
People just don't believe that, though. People don't think that's real.
Why do they think coaches want to lose games? I don't understand. Like, I don't get it.
There's no response to that. There isn't. There's not a response to people who think a coach is playing a guy who's not as good as the next guy. And I'm going to say one more thing on this, and we got to get to a break because Pat Dly is going to come talk to us about more backups that apparently people think should be starting. If your reference point is an example of a guy who exchanged quarterbacks for a first-round elite talent, that is not the example for this situation. Because there is not a first-round elite talent quarterback on the bench currently at Auburn. Would you safely agree with that?
Who give me the example of the time when the first round elite talent was sitting on the bench and they decided to thrust him in there? Anthony Richardson?
That's actually a good one that I haven't even thought of. When I actually got ridiculed for asking said coach about that after game, which he then came in and started 2 games later. But
who's now a colleague. You can't.
I'll tell him to his face now. I wouldn't have then, but I will now.
All right. So
keep going. That would be one that I didn't even think of. There's one a little closer to home for you.
Nate Heupel. Sam Bradford went in, I believe, for like Nate Hibble. Vince Young.
Wow, Nate Hibble. I forgot that name.
Vince Young went in for Chance Mock.
Yeah.
A little closer to home for you.
At Alabama?
Yeah.
Tua over Jalen?
Okay. Like, that might not be the one for this. Because actually, there's not either one of those guys on the roster at Auburn right now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't, maybe
Put it this way. I hadn't been
maybe the
hearing-
Sean White experiment would be a better gauge for how this thing is right now. If you want
Quarterback or the skater? Because I feel both might be out.
I think the
he's
skater
just-
might have
he's
been
a
more
snowboarder.
capable.
He
is
can move.
Is he more snowboarder or skater? Which
He's
one?
both.
Well, yeah. You won X game golds in both.
Is he the Bo Jackson of X Games?
He ain't no
Next
one-trick
on First
pony.
Take.
All right, but seriously though, like, look, there was a lot of buzz about Tua's performances in practice every day. Like, this guy's ridiculous.
Guess whose practice performances I don't get buzzed
I
about.
have not heard a whole lot about the trio of quarterbacks that currently resides behind Payton Thorne. I have heard good buzz about Payton Thorne though, and I thought if you really look at some of the throws he made on the game on Saturday, seriously,
Does not matter.
I'm not
Greg.
saying it doesn't matter. I know it doesn't matter, but he's actually a better player this year than he was last year. I know people like don't want to acknowledge that, but he's getting the ball out faster. He's getting the ball up and down. The double move, stop and go, stutter go down the left sideline on the first drive is amazing.
He's actually decisive running the ball too.
I
He
think
actually
he's
pulls the ball and leaves.
I think he's a better player. But you know what? Just look at the box score.
Get rid of him.
Why would we watch the game when we can just look at the box score? Why would we read the book when we can watch the movie? Like, you can go and do the due diligence. Like, you can do what's more challenging and like draw conclusions based on your own eyes and not what an AL.com writer wants you to think.
By the way, before we go to break, I know we're way past. I'm sorry. I did
Tell
want
the
to point
story to
out.
Pat Dly.
I did want to point out quickly before we go to break. Didn't I write that down? I wrote that down. I left the numbers in the office. I have some Auburn numbers for you when we come back. And the local media in the state of Alabama is going to be disappointed. And I expect articles to be written next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Before we go to Pat Dly, Greg, tell our listeners about Dly.
Well, Dly has been serving Alabama and homeowners across the state for more than 60 years, and they continue to make things amazing in your basement and crawl space. So it can be a functional, usable area that doesn't have mold or mildew, that isn't wet, that is solid as solid can be. That's why Dly is the largest waterproofing company in the country and the only company that's a solution that stops all 5 ways water can enter your foundation. They offer the best price. That's no payments for 12 months, interest-free. The strongest warranty. It's the life of the structure warranty. And they're going to get the job done right. Call them at 942-1976 or visit bdryalabama.com.
All right, to the Buyers Right hotline now. Welcome in Pat Dly, covers the Florida Gators, does a great job with it. Duly noted podcast. You can find that wherever you get your podcast. Pat, thanks for joining us this morning. We were kind of just talking about Auburn's quarterback situation, and I feel like it's a little bit different, but in a lot of ways it's similar in that folks, fans, people who pay attention have sort of made up their minds on who they think the guy should be. Where is this Florida quarterback situation right now?
Well, I mean, they had to get Graham Mertz cleared, first of all, from concussion protocol. And I think that basically they're going to play them both, like you said, on Monday. And I would think Mertz would be the starter. My thing is, Cole, and you know how it is when you get a freshman quarterback and you're going up against a defensive coordinator like Elko. I mean, obviously he's the head coach, but he knows defense, and he's going to throw a lot of exotic defenses out there. So, I would stick with my starter, and then you don't want to lose a job to an injury. But Lagway looked really good. Again, you guys know this is not Chris Hatcher's best Sanford team, but still, even if you were throwing those balls on air, they were pretty nice throws.
Yeah, but he didn't take any hits. I watched him the week before against Miami. He didn't look good. That's why I'm having a hard time. It's one thing, okay, I get if all we had seen of Lagway was against Sanford, I would understand why there'd be so many people clamoring. But that's not all we saw. We saw him against Miami too, and he looked really bad in mop-up duty. Well, really bad's a stretch, but he didn't look good. That's for sure. So I guess I'm just having a hard time understanding. Like, are we completely forgetting what he did in week one?
No, I don't think anybody is. There were a lot of people that are just needed something good to happen around here. And that's what that gave them hope for the future. But yeah, I mean, he did get a touchdown when he was in the mop-up duty. But man, I'm telling you, Miami's got a really good football team.
Yeah, and
that's going to be an issue going forward. I mean, I think they're going to not only be in the playoffs, but I think they'll win the ACC. So, But yeah, I mean, look, that's why I would still go with a guy who's a veteran and still bring DJ in there. You bring him in there on a 3rd and 1. You don't know if he's going to run her or he's going to throw it deep, and that would, making them get prepared for 2 different kind of quarterbacks certainly is going to be an advantage for Florida.
Pat, where are we right now with Billy Napier? Has the fan base made up their mind? Is there a way out of this for him? Where are we right now with Billy Napier's future as the Florida head football coach?
Yeah, I mean, he's just got to win some games. I mean, it's the same story. Everything he does that off the field, people love, and they love what he's doing with the players. They love what's going on here, but he's got no excuses. He's in the 3rd year. To put up a rotten egg, like I said, it was a rotten egg served in a used diaper, was terrible. I mean, that's just an awful performance, and people, I think, at that point after that game were ready to cut him loose. But I do think Florida's not going to make that kind of what was it, John David Crow that got fired after one game at Arkansas one year? They're not going to make that kind of decision like that. They want to see the season, how it plays out. Now, I will say this. If they're sitting there at 3-3 after 6 games, they're done. I mean, we know that. With the schedule the way it is, the back end of it, I mean, we're looking at a team that's probably not going to go to a bowl game again if they're going to have another losing season. And if it's careening towards that again, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen there. Again, you got an interim president here now who is a former president also, but he's interim president. And, so I don't know that they're going to make that kind of a tough decision. And the other thing is you got a situation with the AD where, he's been really good at everything he's done except hiring football coaches. And that is the most important thing you do as an AD, is we know that. So do you let him make that another hire? I don't know that you do that either.
How would you assess the play in general, though? I know week one, I think that was a buzzsaw situation. I think people were unfortunately sleeping on Miami and were giving way too much credit to the home field that the Swamp was going to provide. The rosters just aren't comparable at this point because of the amount of wins and hits in the portal that Miami's had. And frankly, I mean, Mario inherited a program that was nowhere near as bad as the one that Billy Napier inherited. So while I know that they're both in year 3 or whatnot, and people are expecting Billy to just wave the magic wand, that roster was empty, void of talent. And yet he has somehow been able to do some things over the last couple of years. So what does the schedule, or what does the record need to be for him to feel comfortable?
Well, it's got to be better. I mean, it can't be, you can't have another losing season. That would be a very uncomfortable situation. Look, more than anything, I think fans want to see that it is getting better. And after that first game, nobody thought it is getting better. They thought it is getting the same. It's the same thing. You know, Coach Spurrier went on my podcast. He comes on every Monday. I'm lucky there. And he said, look, my only advice to Coach Napier is you got to do something different, because we're doing things the same way isn't working. I think the time may have come for him to give up the play calling duties, because their offense, other than that first game, has been fine. You know, that hasn't been the problem. But he's not, he needs to become a head coach. Go back to that. If it's not working with you calling plays and not being, a hands-on coach during the games, then do it differently. I know he's stubborn, and I know he doesn't want to do that, but we'll see where it goes from here.
Pat, I'm interested in, if that were to take place, who would that even be? Has anybody on that staff called plays before?
I think Russ Callaway has. He'd probably be the guy, and that's why I think Billy don't want to give it up. I mean, Billy believes that he's a good play caller, and he is for the most part. I mean, there are play calls I certainly don't agree with. I don't agree with running the ball on 3rd and 10 to set up 4th and 9, which has happened before.
Set up.
But it is. But they averaged like 35 points a game in their last 5 SEC games last year. But that should be good enough to win. Their problem has been on the other side of the ball. But the trouble is he devoting enough of his attention to those kind of things? And again, he may be. We're not in those meeting rooms every day. But the question I have to ask is, if it's not working, why stay with it?
Is there reason to believe that the defense is improved? I know that the Miami game is not a great example. I don't think that was a good matchup to begin with. Miami's got great skill and talent, but do you think that when they get going here, their defense is going to be able to hold up some?
That'll be the good question, Greg, because they've got some good players. That the Pup Power was a good pickup that they got in the portal, but we only have 2 pieces of sample size. One of them was irrelevant because it was Sanford. The other one was too relevant because it was Miami. And like you said, it was a bad matchup for them. But the way they did not cover, the way they didn't tackle well, they tackled okay in the game. And then you get those 2 personal foul penalties. One of them, you're off the field, but you get a late hit. That was a bad blow for them, and it led to a touchdown right away. So it was just the same thing we've been seeing. This is a program where you should never have a year where you only have 3 interceptions, but they did last year. They get one in the first game this year, but that was on a deflected pass. So, but again, they'll take those, but they need to have some breaks like that, and balls popping up in the air, and that you get a pick. So, but this, Greg, if your offense is going to be really good when you start on the other team's 20-yard line all the time, because you get turnovers. So Florida needs to have more of that. They just haven't been able to get them over the last 3 or 4 years.
I feel like you had a little bit more wide receiver this week. You had a couple other guys making some plays. Give us some other bright spots that you see that might be sort of rounding in the form for this Florida football team.
Yeah, well, I mean that was the big question we had coming in. You knew you had Trey Wilson, and but who would be the two? Who would be the three? And it feels like Badger, and I definitely think BK is a good receiver. And they threw a lot of deep balls in that game, which they don't really do with Birds. So this guy has a gun. There's no doubt about it, and he was very poised. That's the other thing about Lagway in the game is in this game he looked like a guy who'd been getting ready to be a starter all his life. Now in the Miami game when he came in, he didn't look like that. He looked like a guy who was a little bit flustered playing his first ever college game. So that's going to be the interesting thing about Saturday afternoon with Texas A&M coming in here is they're going to throw some stuff at whoever's the quarterback, and we'll see how they handle it and whether they have to make a change early or whether they have a plan where they bring in Lagway for the third series, something like that. I don't know. That'll be the interesting thing to watch.
Pat, thanks for the time, man. We appreciate you hopping on. You do a great job. I listened to the pod and love talking football with you. We'll do it again soon.
Hey, anytime for two celebrities like you, you know that.
I don't know about that, but enjoy all the SEC Nation folks back in Gainesville again this week.
See you guys. Yeah, see you guys.
Pat Dly joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline for all your insurance, financial, HR needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner. I see some of you on hold that still want to go back to some of these quarterback concerns, discussions, who should be starting, who should be in. We can do that on the other side. 800-239-9569. We'll get to our top three, bottom of the hour here. Andy Burcham, top of the hour next hour. Bout It, bottom of the next hour. And then Gabe Iier talks some Oklahoma football at 9 o'clock. Some injury news there from Coach Venables yesterday. What does that mean moving forward for this Oklahoma football team? Tulane this week and then Tennessee next week. Get tailgate ready for all the games at Royal Automotive. My friends at Royal Automotive want to help you experience how car buying should be. 4 Royal-owned dealerships in one location. Selection and savings are unmatched. Royal is the only place to find over 19 unique truck and SUV options in one spot. Right now, get up to $14,000 off select 2024 GMC Sierra models. 0% for 60 months is back on 2024 Volkswagen Tiguan models, or 2.9% financing on select Volvo XC40, XC60, and XC90 models. Go see my friends at Royal, help you get the best deal available right now. Corner of I-65, Highway 31 in Vestavia. Online, royalautomotive.net. Make Royal your first and last stop when car shopping. Remember, for every ride, there's Royal. More quarterback talk next, right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. JocksFM.com. It is 7:41 a.m. right here on WJOX as we continue talking quarterbacks around the Southeastern Conference. Eddie wants to talk Auburn quarterbacks. Eddie, welcome into the show.
Hey, guys. Good morning. I hope y'all having a good day. I guess with the Auburn situation, with them, they're playing New Mexico State Saturday, right?
New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico. Is there? I guess I get caught up on last year.
Yeah.
Okay, New Mexico is 0-2 and has given up 1,194 yards in 2 games.
Yeah,
this
but
year.
Bronco Mendenhall.
That's 567 and 627.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that New Mexico quarterback's not bad. Their defense though leaves a little to be desired.
Defense
is rough. The quarterback's not bad. He's got some juice.
Well, my question is, and I trust y'all more than anybody because there's no sports show that knows more about football than y'all do. I'm just telling you. I listen to a bunch of them. I'm a truck driver and I'm on the road all day and I listen to sports talk all day. But is there any way that you Freeze might pull what Coach Saban did last year at South Florida and maybe playing a lesser team like that, try his other quarterbacks? I mean, I'm a Bama fan, but my daughter is a big Auburn fan, so I keep up with Auburn too because she's a huge football fan. But I don't know. It just seemed like last year after coming out of the Texas game, I was ready to get rid of Milroe. But then after watching the South Florida game, it convinced me that Milroe was our guy. And, I mean, it pretty much changed the complexion of the whole football team. Would that be a bad plan for Freeze to try it this week and see what happens?
I don't think it's terrible, Eddie. I don't. And I appreciate the call and I appreciate the kind words. I just think you have to be very careful that if you believe you're going to go back and performance is the only reason that takes place, and then you hurt the kid's confidence even further, what have you done? So that's and as Greg pointed out earlier, if you are going to make this decision based on performance alone for the quarterback, are you doing that for the other positions? Because I saw a couple offensive linemen that didn't get guys blocked for the majority of the game. I saw some tight ends that whiffed on blocks in the game.
No.
I saw some receivers that didn't finish routes in the game. Are you punishing, quote unquote, for performance across the board evenly if you're going to do that to the quarterback? Because if that's how you manage your team, you need to manage the team that way. That's another one of those uncomfortable conversations that a lot of folks don't want to have. Robert.
But one thing, like you said, how come no one's calling for Rivaldo Fairweather to be taken out on run plays?
He's a good pass catcher.
Well, he's not good as a blocker. All he has to do is secure the backside a couple times. He can't do that. The effort's not there.
Robert, what's on your mind?
You know what I've always said? No block, no rock. You don't block, you don't get the rock.
Okay.
But I feel like Saturday's problems were a lot more than Payton Thorne. A lot more. And I just want people to acknowledge that. And it's not saying that Payton Thorne he doesn't need to be the scapegoat exclusively. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of blame to go around on Saturday. Sorry.
Okay, Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, my concern coming before the game was that Cal's defensive line averaged 6'6'4", 304 pounds. I know Auburn's defense this year looks considerably less heftier than last year's edition. And I'm just concerned that they're not going to be able to hold out through this upcoming road schedule, considering if Auburn's offense can't stay on the field, they're going to get wore down. We've got Arkansas coming up, Oklahoma, and they don't get any easier after that.
It's just going to be a rough road, Robert. I do appreciate that he went with Auburn's defense doesn't look as hefty as last year's group.
It's a good adjective.
I'm for it. Actually, I kind of disagree with it, but I understand how on the edges it's a little bit lighter, but they have more bigger, quote, heftier interior defensive linemen than they did a year ago in the rotation.
If there's one thing through 2 weeks that I've noticed about Auburn's defense, granted it's hard to be critical, but purely at this point, it's not really looking through it through a critic's lens. It's really looking at it more. All right, I'd like to see a little more growth there. I'd like to see a little more growth there. I think there's been a little bit of. Granted, coverage-wise, they're not throwing the kitchen sink at anybody right now. I just would like to see maybe a touch more variety. I just think that's going to come. at some point.
It's definitely going to come. Yeah.
So I think it's in there. So that'd be the one thing that I just haven't seen yet that I'm hopeful to see on that side of the ball.
All right, we got to get to a break. When we come back, Jordan, see you on hold. We'll try to get to you, and Damien gives us his top 3 right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:50 a.m., Tuesday, September 10th, Jocks 94.5. Live on YouTube right now. You can see us all in studio. Search Jocks 945. Jordan is on the Buyers Right hotline, wants to chime in on Auburn quarterbacks. Welcome in, Jordan.
Morning, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Morning, buddy.
Yeah, first, I want to say thank you to you guys. I mean, y'all are making a really great point in terms of other players having to take some responsibility as well. I mean, there's no doubt you're the quarterback of an SEC team. The blame's going to go on you, especially when you throw 4 picks against Cal and 2 to close the game with a chance to run down and tie it up. But y'all are right. I mean, it was a very ugly game from a lot of different positions. I didn't ever see the replay on that Cam Coleman botch catch that turned into a pick, but that certainly looked like a catchable ball. And
he stopped running.
Offensive line looked awful. What I was wanting to know, when it comes to Hank Brown, I'll have to be honest, I haven't paid the closest attention in the offseason and exactly, reasoning for everyone being so hyped up on him. But what do you guys expect from him? Do you think there's a chance Freeze might try to get him some reps this weekend? Because it sure does seem like the inevitable is going to happen. And by the time we roll into the Oklahoma week, we're going to be trotting out a brand new quarterback.
I think it's situational. Now, you would hope this weekend against a team that has given up 1,200 yards in 2 games that you would be able to get a lot of other guys in. What?
That number.
1,194 yards.
But they play week 0. You can't count that one.
1,194 yards in 2 games.
Is that 1,200?
6 yards. Throwing a penalty, yes.
There
are a couple kneel down. Oh, they haven't knelt down yet.
They might have before the half. They might have.
Get out of there.
It's 1,200.
This is a great get right situation. Like, this is a great, and guys, I cannot stress this enough. I'm not saying that Payton Thorne played well. I'm not. I'm just saying I think he might be more decisive. He might be more willing to push it downfield. He might be a better player. If you average out his play over the 12-game season that was last year's regular season, and you average out if he just continues to play what he's going to do this year, I think he's going to be a better player. And that's based off the Cal tape. That throw he made on the first touchdown on the run was pinpoint accuracy. That was big time. Big time throw. That throw down the left sideline on the stutter go was big time.
He had a nice slant.
He hit the one over the middle. Like, how many times did we see him work the middle of the field last year? I think he's throwing more velocity. Like, not all interceptions are created equal, man. They're all a little different, and they all have a different story. And I think the last one was 100% on him.
Yes,
but I also think situationally, and people have said, well, what about the one before the last touchdown on the defensive pass interference? I'm like, I think the receiver shut down the route against cover 0. They bring all out pressure. He gets rid of the ball. He thinks the receiver's going to stay vertical. The receiver stops his route. It gets picked. They call DPI. I think it was the right call based on, I don't know. I couldn't see from behind it. I haven't seen the TV copy, but like, it's just, I don't think he's as bad as you think he is.
Folks don't want to hear that, though. They don't want to hear that. Chris and Khalil, welcome into the show.
Hey, this is a little bit off topic on Payton Thorne, but what do you guys think about like the DJU situation at Florida State when NIL is used and when they go get these guys to come play? How long do they hang on to these quarterbacks in the NFL model when they've got these huge salaries and they're not producing?
Well, we've seen in the NFL, you're the owner. you are. And if you pay a quarterback that doesn't deserve it, you're out. How are things going for the GM in Denver right now that went and got Russell Wilson? Like, not great, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, in the NFL, you're toast. But in college, I think it's a little different. Especially if you have a promising freshman. But tell me this: you saw Florida State's backup options last year. Tate Rodemaker actually is now at Southern Miss. The other guy, Brock Glenn's still on the roster. Did you like what you saw from him?
No, I mean, they thought they liked him, but when he got in live fire, it wasn't what they wanted. But
exactly.
And I'm not saying Auburn's in that situation with Thorne, but I just don't think. I think I know what you guys are saying. The guys behind him aren't ready. They're not ready for the live fire. And Payton Thorne's got to get on pace with his freshman wide receivers. And I've seen some good breakdown on tape of receivers not running the route the right way and not giving them the windows they need on certain coverages and things that you guys understand that I learned from other people like you guys. But I'm an Alabama guy, but I think Hugh's a great coach. He's a great offensive mind, and Thorne will be fine if he continues to be coachable. And Auburn fans will be maybe able to breathe after this next week, and they put up good numbers and get into the SEC schedule.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate the call. Zach in Montgomery, quickly before we go to break. Welcome in, Zach.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze kind of put the blame on the players, and Hugh Freeze is like really transparent. And I wonder what y'all think about his utter transparency, if that's a good or bad thing.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Zach. Listen, if I don't appreciate any coach calling out players, but coaches making you aware of there were letdowns or guys that didn't play up to the standard and where that happened, I don't have an issue with that. Now, throwing a guy under the bus and trying to call him out, making him look bad and trying to embarrass him, I'm never going to be okay with that. But kind of like what Greg said, Hugh Freeze knows people watch the game. Now, some of you obviously didn't watch much of the game or watched one portion of the game or one person in the game. But I think there are different ways to do it, and I didn't really have a big problem with how Hugh Freeze did it. Andy Burcham will talk more Auburn football with us next on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8 a.m., hour number 2. We'll continue talking some Auburn football with the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham. Before we get to Andy, you know that you can listen to the show online, jocksfm.com. You can also get the podcast there. You can tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jock skill or just say, listen to Jocks. You can always tune in that way. And now you can watch us live on YouTube. Search Jocks945, JOX945, and you can fire it up and watch us right there each and every morning. Also, the podcast always available. Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get yours, you can go check them out there. All right, he joins us each and every Tuesday. Thanks to our friends at Craneworks. It is the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah, the big dog's got it.
The voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lifted, buy and rented, the big dog's got it. Now, Andy Burcham.
Andy, welcome into the show. We've been talking Auburn quarterbacks for the majority of the show today. Where do you feel like, after talking to Coach Freeze last night, hearing from him after the game, before the game, where do you think Coach Freeze is as far as his quarterback room right now?
Well, you know, he talked about it last night on Tiger Talk, as you mentioned, and he had a meeting with both Payton Thorne and Hank Brown, and they went over 15 plays from Saturday's loss to Cal, and they were separate conversations with both, according to Coach Freeze last night, and went over each play. And you know, he thought probably one of those, the coaching staff put everyone in a bad spot, but he thought the rest of the time were mistakes that were made, either in pass protection or mistakes made by Payton Thorne in the game. I think he was looking for what kind of response he would get. According to Hugh last night, he did not get excuses from Payton in that meeting. As a result, I think this is an incredibly important week for Auburn offensively, but particularly for Payton as he gets ready for this game. Listen, yesterday in his press conference, Hugh Freeze said, listen, he has been our best guy in practice, talking about Payton Thorne. But he also cannot deny what happened this past Saturday against Cal, which is why I think that this is a really important week, not only a week of practice, but obviously this Saturday's game against New Mexico for Payton Thorne, just because of the game that he had against Cal and other games that he's had in his 2 years or year and a couple games as a starter for Auburn.
You obviously can't make huge mistakes, but I think that Payton Thorne right now is the scapegoat for a bigger issue along the offensive line. Lack of attention to detail amongst wide receivers, not running through routes in times with wide receivers. So I understand that, hey, the veteran player is going to probably have to shoulder more of the blame than the young wide receiver, but there's plenty of blame to go around. So is Hugh acknowledging that there are significant problems at other positions outside of the quarterback?
I think so. He talked about it yesterday, and they've got to deal with one right now, and that's the offensive line. And I will be surprised if Auburn has Tall Miller available to them on Saturday. Injured hip in the game against Cal. So I think Auburn's going to be shuffling a bit on the offensive line this week. That doesn't necessarily answer your question, but there will be some changes up front with Tall Miller likely out for this week. I think Dylan Wade makes a move, and this is what Coach Freeze told us yesterday and then last night on Tiger Talk. Dylan Wade makes a move out to either left tackle or to right tackle, with Tyler Johnson and Percy Lewis likely to get playing time at one of those tackles as well. And with Wade moving out, that leaves a spot open at left guard, and I think that we'll see Tate Johnson or Braden Joyner or both in the mix at that left guard spot. I think the two spots right now that are pretty solid for Auburn as far as the starting lineup are concerned are Connor Lew at center and Jeremiah Wright at right guard. I think everything else could be rather shuffled this week. Here's the one thing about the wide receivers. We're talking about 4 freshmen as talented as they are and as highly touted as they are, there are still times that they're going to play like freshmen. And listen, a lot of things happened in that game on Saturday. And you're right, Payton Thorne is the guy that's going to get the lion's share of the criticism. I mean, I don't know if it happened to you or not, but you certainly know the potential for that to happen at the quarterback spot. And it was not a great day for Auburn offensively, period. And then there were some things that happened in the game. I mean, how much of your offense do you run when on back-to-back drives in the third quarter, you start at your own 2-yard line at that point? Now, one of those turned into a turnover, and so even after Jarquez Hunter got Auburn off the goal line and Auburn looked like it was moving the ball, Auburn turns the ball over, and then the series is over. And I'm not saying that Payton was the only one that struggled on Saturday. He wasn't. But it's hard to overlook 4 interceptions in a game where Auburn turns the ball over 5 times and only loses 5 touchdowns.
At what point do we start to become a little bit concerned about the team's inconsistencies? And look, we know that there were some incredible moments last year, granted moral victories against Bama and against Georgia. You have the Bama game on your racket. You're in control of the Georgia game. There were a lot of real, you go and smoke Arkansas. Like, there's some really impressive performances already on Hugh Freeze's watch as the head coach at Auburn. But there's also some unforgivable, unmistakable performances that are just impossible to wrap your head around. The Cal performance this week, the New Mexico State performance, losing by 3 touchdowns last year. I guess I just have a hard time understanding, why do we get such highs with this team and lows with this team? Why can't we just get more predictable, steady, consistent performance, even if you avoid the highs and the lows?
Well, I'll repeat what he has said all along, Greg, is that, you know, they're still trying to build a program back that was in a pretty tough spot when he came in as the head coach. And they're not going to do it in the quickest way right now with regard to the transfer portal. They're trying to build it back through the high school ranks. And he has said all along that it's going to take at least 3 recruiting classes to get back and be competitive for Auburn. And maybe that means that means that they're going to be consistent week in and week out. Listen, you can't deny the disappointment after a game like Cal this past week or New Mexico State a year ago. Not trying to do that. Patience is a word that we use in this day and age, and there's not a lot of it shown. And I understand that, and it's going to take some time. And we all probably got a little bit too high after a win against an outmatched team in game 1. And now it's just the opposite after week 2. And we'll find out. I mean, listen, you have no choice but to move on after this and try and get better and learn from it. And I believe the staff and this team is doing that.
Andy Burcham, voice of the Auburn Tigers, with us on the Buyers Right Hotline. He joins us every Tuesday, thanks to our friends at Craneworks. Andy, I want to go back to what you were saying about the receivers. And this is my opinion, so I'm not asking you to confirm it. I'm just interested if you've heard anything similar to it, or maybe what your opinion would be with it. I do think there's a portion of this that is satisfying the fan base, satisfying those individual players because of maybe what they are, what they're capable of, or just wanting to see what they're capable of, and potentially ignoring some other parts that could help you be more successful. Essentially not giving the ball to 27 as much. That has been my biggest issue so far this season. Do you think that could be real, that there is a part of the coaching staff that just says, hey, we got to keep these guys happy. We want to make the fans know that these guys can play. We want to show other people what they can do, could be a part of it as well?
That's a good question, and I don't have a specific answer for you. I do think, and again, I go back to the third quarter for Auburn and how much of the offense could they show when they had the ball 2 straight times at the 2-yard line at that point. I do think we will see more of Jarquez Hunter moving forward. And it's easy to say that you know, you're not running the football enough when you turn the ball over 4 times in interceptions in a ball game. I think they're looking at everything right now. Now, do I think that they're They're just throwing the ball to the young receivers to keep them happy for the sake of the rest of the, or at the, I'm trying to put this the best way I can. I don't think they're doing that just to placate those receivers, okay? At this point. So I think you've got to try and, I think you use those players because they have talent.
Sure.
And Auburn didn't have that talent a year ago. So I don't think that to forsake the running game, they're just looking at those receivers at this point. Let me put it that way.
But is it because they know the running game's there and they know the receiving and the passing game is going to be what has to win them games when the competition increases drastically?
I think they've got to use every bit of that offense at some point. Especially when Arkansas rolls in here in a couple weeks, because that's when the schedule, as tough as it's already been for Auburn, that's when the schedule picks up significantly. When you're facing the SEC week in and week out, and you get Arkansas, which to me, even though it lost to Oklahoma State last week, is much improved from an offensive standpoint. We know what Oklahoma can do. And then you're going on the road for 3 straight games, starting with Georgia, and then you go to a very, very good Missouri team that has eyes on the playoff right now. Then you go to Kentucky, and I know Kentucky lost this past week to South Carolina. And then you're back home against a much improved Vanderbilt ball club. You get an open week, you get ULM in your last game, and then you get A&M and Alabama. I think you've got to use every bit of the offense at that point. And I think they're still trying to find every bit of this offense right now. Listen, I mean, as poor as Auburn played this past week with 5 turnovers, it has the ball with 2 minutes to go and has a chance to drive and tie the game and perhaps put the game in overtime at this point. The one thing we've not talked about is after that first drive against Cal, Auburn's defense played really well and gave Auburn a chance in that game. So, I understand the angst from the game on Saturday. Believe me. But let's give this team a little bit of grace and see what it does moving forward. At this point, to me, that's the only choice you have moving forward. Is let's see how this team responds. Let's see how this offense responds to a poor showing against Cal when you get New Mexico coming in here on Saturday.
Andy, we appreciate the time. Always great stuff. We love catching up with you, and we know each and every week you're brought to us by our friends at Craneworks.
Wasteworks, a Craneworks company, provides roll-off dumpster retail or rentals in the Birmingham area with a wide range of sizes and a fast service. They're your local dumpster rentals, your source for dumpster rentals. Visit wasteworksusa.com for a quote. Where is everyone this week?
Greg is in Lexington. Is that right? Back to Lexington again.
Back
he gets
to
make
back.
that trip one more time, and I will be in Knoxville, Tennessee.
I hope you guys have safe trips and great calls, guys. We'll talk to you next week. War Eagle.
Thanks, Andy. War Eagle. Andy Burcham joins us each and every week. Thanks to our friends at Craneworks. He joined us on the Buyers Right hotline. All right, well, continue that conversation. There are going to be more of you that want to get in, want to chime in. At Mac and Cube on Twitter, you can do that. You can text into the show 205-834-9450. You can also hit us up on the Buyers Right hotline, 800-239-9569. We will discuss that more, but we'll get to our top 3 next, right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Did you get that music going because Damien's in studio? I'm being patient. I'm just waiting to turn Greg loose on Damien with Payton Thorne.
I know why you're playing this.
Just ring the bell.
Because Damien's Russian and he's trying to infiltrate.
No, Damien's the short 5'2" Rocky.
No.
Yes, Rocky wins, but he's the shorter one of
I think Rocky is billed. I think Rocky's billed at like 6'2", 225.
Okay.
That's not it.
I think he's billed at that.
I'm sure he can. Yeah, that's fine. He's billed at that.
Cruiserweight.
Just like hospitals bill you for a certain thing, but then insurance kicks in. And
speaking of hospitals, I got a bill the other day it said for my second son, and like obviously they messed up. The birth, I was like, he was born again?
It's been a while.
JG was born again in March. No, it was obviously for me, but golly, kids are expensive. Appreciate you, insurance. What's up? Big.
You were billed at something, but then the actual truth was
what a racket that deal is.
Yep.
That's an expensive hotel for those 2 days we were in there. It was great, but
Not even
man,
full service either.
food wasn't even good.
I think you get a little bit more out of your bang for your buck.
No, I mean, it is what it is. I literally was on my desk yesterday and I was like, wow, I've never actually seen the whole thing. I've seen just what we owe, right? I've never seen the whole thing. I was like,
you didn't flip the page over. You're like, okay, that's a new, and then you open it and it just, this is a CVS receipt.
I would not have asked for that cup of ice if I would have known. I need that itemized.
I should have only flushed once. Dang it. They got me.
I can't find what they actually listed him as. Obviously,
I think
Stallone's 5'9", but I can't find anything in the movie as to like what they say he weighed and how tall he was.
I think it was 6'1", 6'2", 225.
So they got him in a catch weight.
Maybe
no.
5'11", I am seeing a couple of places, but I don't know if they're actually referencing the actor or the character.
Right.
I think the under on 5'11".
No, the character people have correct at 5'9", but I think that I don't know if 5'11" would be accurate as to what the character was actually listed at. So I don't know. We'll work on that.
That's just height. Nobody really cares.
All right, let's get to our top three. We do it each and every day. Going to focus it around the NFL early in the week because we don't spend a ton of time on that. 49ers take out the Jets last night, 32-19. Jets go to 0-1. Niners go to 1-0. Jets at the Titans next week. Niners are going to be at the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers 13-21, 167, a touchdown and a pick. Brock Purdy 19-29, 231. Jordan Mason from
Georgia Tech
gets his first start of his career last night with Christian McCaffrey out. And that was a late scratch that a lot of people were.
Oh, my fantasy team will never recover.
About.
I'm so mad.
I was a little frustrated, I will say.
147 yards and a touchdown for Jordan Mason. Don't know who had him on their fantasy team.
I did.
Fourth most rushing yards in a season opener by an undrafted player all time.
That's a heck of a stat.
Does anybody want to take a guess at who was the most? He's actually a name from a running back perspective that was pretty good for a while.
I literally don't know.
I have no.
Arian Foster, 2010, 231.
He was undrafted.
Willie Parker went for 161. Priest Holmes went for 151.
Priest Holmes was that deal.
He was undrafted?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, I was about to say.
Most rush yards in a team season opener by an undrafted player all time. Priest Holmes is third all time.
No way.
Never guess.
Guys, just keep calling out ESPN stats and info.
I'm not. I'm just looking
probably
it up.
in poorly for you.
I just thought he was a good player in college. I thought he had been drafted.
All right,
He was
Damien.
the NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2002.
Top three for today. What do you have?
Well, did you know that today, September 10th, is National TV Dinner Day?
Man, last time you had a TV dinner.
I don't know. I'm about to start.
Height, I guess.
I'll probably be out.
Yeah.
I'm about to start busting up
What kind was
TV
it?
dinners.
Swanson's Hungry Man? What was it? You remember?
I've had one.
I don't think I've ever made one myself.
Well, of course I know.
Marie
but-
Callender's had some
my mom
good
used to
ones.
put them in the oven. That tin foil would be hot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you try to unwrap the corners and you burn your
You
fingers.
ain't got no fingertips.
The worst was when the mashed potatoes were cooked a little too much and they would stick
And
to the
it stuck-
edges.
yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
that's half the good stuff
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah, I used to
What a
wear
waste.
out Marie Callender's. Now I'm looking at it. This is Marie Callender's. Salisbury steak.
That was your go-to?
I mean, it was
By the
good.
way, the context there could have,
Oh, correct. Right. Yeah.
because for a minute got me. I've never heard of her.
You never heard of Marie Callender's? Look at this.
No.
You can go get one at Target right now. $3.59.
They
for the
sell.
whole
They
meal.
sell. Target does that.
21 grams of protein.
There we go.
You wonder why you got a hospital bill.
Yep. Roasted potatoes and home style gravy served with mac and cheese. I might pick that up on the way home. That's lunch.
Okay.
Buy lunch. Service per container.
Would be a good tasty meal.
You know what's amazing? We have like all these meal services now that they deliver the meal. It's ready made. You put it in the microwave. You eat it. It's like Marie Callender's been doing that for years. Hungry Man's been doing that for years.
You don't say.
You
I
take
would say
that.
probably
take
not
that
with
factor.
fresh ingredients.
Take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to go with ingredients? All right. That's fine.
No, I'm just saying.
Please no.
Hang on,
No,
let
we
me
just
just
say
give you a
ingredients.
couple real
These are
quick. I just
fresh
want you to know
ingredients.
what's in this. All right. Hang on. Oh, this sounds good. Yeah. The mac and cheese is cooked enriched macaroni product.
Okay.
Not pasta, just
with
product.
semolina,
Okay.
niacin, iron, thiamine, mononitrate, riboflavin, folic acid.
Who doesn't want riboflavin?
Matt folic acid? Wow, okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
A lot of xanthan gum in this. You got butter flavor.
Okay.
What is butter flavor? Just tell me what. If I just put butter in there, you got beef flavor, which is made from cooked beef.
You don't say.
Would
Couldn't
not
put
have
beef in
guessed
there. I had to
that.
put the flavor in it.
Then there's actual butter in there.
Oh, okay.
We got action.
Butter and butter flavor.
Rochester sauce,
Mm.
which has corn syrup,
Not-
water, salt, garlic,
Not
spices.
Worcestershire, but
No.
Rochester
No,
sauce,
Rochester.
like right next to
All right, here we
Boston
go.
sauce,
Finally, I found what I
That's
was
the
looking
great
for.
value version, I guess.
right
Here's
next
what
to Bronx sauce.
Here's what I've been looking for: Salisbury steak,
Uh-huh.
which, by the way, is a delicacy. If you're not familiar, it's
Okay.
basically a hamburger steak.
Okay.
Literally almost the same thing.
Sure.
Pork, beef, water, onions, textured soy protein concentrate
Okay.
with an isolated soy product and caramel color.
You gotta make it look good.
Get that all over you.
All right. Yeah, that's
We got action. I'm
most
picking one
people
up on the way
pay
home.
monthly for
Sounds
that.
like a typical TV dinner.
I will say, when I lived in Huntsville, Conrad and I would hit Piccadilly once a week, and that Salisbury steak was, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Salisbury
it's like
steak
I
rips.
never want it any other time except when I
Except when you
walked
see
into
it.
that cafeteria line. For
Their
some
catfish
reason.
and mac and cheese was divine.
And we were by far the youngest folks in there.
Oh, obviously. You still might be if you went in today.
There's a couple good Salisbury. There's a couple good Salisbury steaks around town here. There are. You can go find them.
You can have
Hey,
I'm not going to
complete-
give out any
complete
freebies.
Sidebar.
Feinbaum's place downtown?
I'm not sure where Feinbaum goes.
Publix.
No.
Complete sidebar. Do y'all eat meatloaf?
I will if you present it
that's,
to me.
That's kind of how I feel.
I mean, I
about
don't make
Salisbury
it.
steak. Right.
My wife doesn't like it, so we don't really do it anymore. My mom used to make it like once a week when I was a kid. Yeah,
Meatloaf rips.
You ain't lying.
I'm with it.
And also, are y'all familiar with Ants on a Log Day?
No.
I'm going to not answer that.
Let me hold on.
Feels dangerous.
Celery, peanut butter, raisins across.
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
See, I've never heard of this.
Oh,
Gee, okay. Wow. Maplesville
that's
failed you.
no, it's a generational thing. I think they stopped doing that in like 1989.
Oh, okay.
They just got away from
I've
it.
definitely
never-
had this before.
But I will say the raisins are pointless because like you're not going to taste a raisin over peanut butter.
No, it's
You're
just peanut butter.
Exactly.
Like it's not going to happen.
It was to have the sweetness.
And I had a PBJ in the airport last night. I'm not going to lie.
Ooh.
It's so good.
From?
Hudson News, whatever the hell it is.
Golly.
I don't know. I literally had not eaten all day because I went straight to studio. We had a bunch of stuff to do, did the show, did Paul's show, recorded podcast, and had to run to the airport. And I was like, I got to have something. And I was in a hurry. So I grabbed that. But I will say there's a place in DFW. I don't know where it is or what terminal it is. I found it on accident one day. They have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with granola in it, like in the
Ooh,
sandwich.
yeah,
I'm going
that's
to tell you right now,
game
it's legit.
Game
Send?
changer.
It is.
Why don't you just get crunchy peanut butter?
It's a good one. Because the granola has a little more. It does. You can
Yeah,
get a little
it's-
extra flavor in there.
Yeah,
it's good.
mm-mm.
Yeah.
Just don't
Okay, go ahead, Damien. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I didn't feel like Ants on a Log needed a whole day, but
No,
No,
definitely
I was surprised. I was like, okay, well,
you should be because that's a waste of time.
it threw me off. But no, we lost a legend yesterday in James Earl Jones.
Oh, we did, man.
We did.
I was bummed to hear he died.
Yeah.
I was just looking him up the other day. I never knew that he did like the pregame hype video for Michigan.
Really?
Yeah. Check it out. It's cool.
Is he a
Super
Michigan
cool.
guy?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, he went to Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Super cool. Check it out, though. It's like really good. I never even knew this was a thing. And I heard them talking about in preparation of the game, like from the time that James Earl Jones' voice booms around the big house, Texas will be in for a rude awakening. Obviously,
born
the game,
in Acapulco, Mississippi.
Yeah, Southern boy.
Yeah.
But he went to Michigan.
Oh man, yesterday was his birthday too.
He died on his birthday?
That's brutal.
He was a legend, though.
Icon.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
Yes, that's why we are doing our
Greatest
top
voice
three,
ever.
Our top 3 James Earl Jones roles.
Well, Darth Vader's
Yeah,
one.
Darth Vader
I mean,
won.
Yeah, I feel like there's 4 we're choosing from.
Yeah, I can't even.
Can we all just align that Darth Vader's one and we can remove Darth Vader?
It's
I was
Vader
thinking more
1,
Mufasa,
Mufasa
that's not
2, and Mr. Myrtle, Kittle, whatever his name was from Sandlot.
yeah.
3.
King Joffrey Joffer.
Kittle
I
Come to
forgot, whatever.
America.
It's something with 2 T's, whatever.
ahead of his guy in Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Wow. I bet he's got some voiceover stuff that's under the radar. that
Oh,
we
yeah.
just don't even know
Okay, yeah.
about.
His number 1 role, narrator.
Well,
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, if
In anything.
yeah.
Like just talk.
Better voice, him or Morgan Freeman? It's close.
It depends on.
It's
Don't think
James
so.
Earl Jones.
I don't know. It's tough.
Morgan Freeman's incredible, but it's James
If
Earl
you
Jones.
hate Morgan Freeman, just admit it.
He's Darth Vader.
Correct.
Give me James Earl Jones.
Morgan
best
Freeman
voiceover.
played God.
Cool. Darth Vader.
He Darth Vader and Mufasa.
Yeah, you got to draw the line somewhere.
I mean, who's brought in more to the box office, God or Darth Vader?
Come on now. All right.
Love God. At the theater, it's Darth Vader. Sorry, Brian. I know. It had to be said. My pastor. I know he probably wouldn't like to hear that.
Unreal. I'm going to pray for you tonight.
I'm just trying to see like what else might be in there. What is there like a?
You can throw in Hunt for Red October.
See, I can't put it. I hate
Great
the
White
Sandlot,
Heights.
so I can't put that.
Field
in
of
there.
Dreams, Terrence Mann was a good role.
Yeah, that's got to be number
Yeah.
3 for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's in there for show. Darth Vader's definitely one. It's not even close.
I would put Mufasa, but y'all are Star Wars fans.
Mufasa
More of a
dies
Power
early, so
More of a power.
He's still
That doesn't stop him from telling you to remember who you are.
Exactly.
pretty awesome character. When they put that voice up on the castle and that little fireworks deal they do,
Yeah.
oh man, that hits.
boring.
No, it's not.
No.
Boring. Wow.
It is a good movie.
Great.
I'm trying to figure out some of the others. I really don't know.
Patriot Games, I don't remember him in that.
I don't either. There's a bunch that I don't remember him in.
I think he played Greer because he was in Hunt for Red October too.
I've been scrolling his
A lot of
movies
it's
for,
voice.
for like
Yeah, like
7
that.
minutes.
Voice.
Right. Yeah.
It just goes and goes.
That's why I said
and
like
goes.
yeah.
I mean, he's just. I mean, The Sandlot, Mr. Myrtle. Do
Yeah,
anything for you?
That'd be number 3.
It's a good one.
You think that either Disney or before that, like the good folks at the Skywalker Ranch, just like handed him 17,000 pages of things and said, just start reading this. We
Yeah.
might need it one day.
Probably.
Pretty
Like,
much.
here's a check. Start reading all this stuff. And we can mix and match all
You know
the
what?
like
Read the phone book and the dictionary. We'll
just
figure out the
basically
rest.
like gave him words and said, just say all
Yeah.
these words together. And
Yes.
because we're gonna need this one day. We don't know what's next, but we know we're gonna need your voice to do it. So just start talking. We're gonna record, and here's a big check to do that. Thank you.
Did he have to do the breathing noises for?
No, I don't think.
I don't think so. No.
I think that's him.
I think if you had to do that on top of talking the way he talked,
I hope he didn't have asthma.
You would think that if you had the force, you could work around that. Oh, are you?
oh, here we go. It's sweet. It's legit.
Was that Flair?
Yeah. He hops teams like Damien.
It's a really good warm-up video.
Not Stallions. With access to sideline passes for opponents.
They just showed Lucy Liu.
and access to Ohio State's catapult. It's stealing opponent's signs.
Professors?
Yes, Greg.
One undisputed since 1948.
Listen, just enjoy James Earl Jones.
It's legit though.
It is.
Y'all can hate all you want.
No, it's awesome. I'm
It
ready.
is. Like it does give you a little edge.
I'll run into a wall right now. I won't get through it, but I'll run into one.
Somebody
If you
texted
need
me
me
he's
to.
the bad guy from Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since I
Ain't
saw
seen the
that.
tape.
Did he take him down? Did he have a pet ferret?
I have no idea.
I don't think so.
He didn't take Conan's ferret?
I think he may have tried.
Man, 93 years old.
It's a good run.
That's a hell of a run.
He lying.
Hey, how about this one? 2003. James Earl Jones reads the Bible, King James Version. 9.6 stars.
Where is that? Where can I get that?
An audiobook version of the King James Version of the Bible, narrated by
Oh, so he has played
James
God.
Earl
Okay.
Jones.
Yeah.
Right.
He has.
Take that, Morgan.
Take
Freeman.
that, Morgan.
Yep.
Yep. Got him. I will be using one of my credits on that today.
Attaboy.
Is his voice on like Waze or anything? They used to do that
That's
on
a missed
Garmin,
opportunity.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know if does Waze does the celebrity voices? I
Have
don't-
some.
Who? Shaq?
Turn right. Next take right. You be there.
It actually wouldn't be bad. Though.
It really would.
Pretty good.
You wouldn't be able to hear
Like,
it.
if you miss a turn,
Be
like,
whispering.
Where you going?
All right, before we go to break, Damien, if folks have questions about real estate, who should they call?
My buddy Ben Hedden of Beham Realty Group. If you think about selling your home, and when it comes to selling, you only want excellence. You need to give my buddy Ben a call, 205-568-2705, or go to BehamRealtyCo.com. If you're struggling to get your house sold because the markets are changing every single day, you need an expert that focuses on adapting at half the time to make sure you and your team come out on top. That's Ben Hedden of the Beham Realty Group. You can visit their website, BehamRealtyCo.com, or give them a call at 205-568-2705.
There are 6 people that you can put in for Waze. Shaq, Liam Neeson, Cookie Monster, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Morgan Freeman, and Kevin Hart.
I think that's 7.
When we come back, Greg seeds the Waze voices on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. You want to talk quarterback situations? 800-239-9569. We've done that for a large portion of the show. Brody Knight commenting in the live chat on YouTube. Jocks945, you can search there. Always go watch us live every morning. How we missed this. Coming to America, also great.
We said that, Joffer.
We did? Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know
but I felt like that role's basically Darth Vader, too.
Oh.
More or less.
Really?
I mean, he throws out a couple lines from Star Wars in it,
Right.
and he's hunting after the main guy.
Okay. I mean, I feel like it's a different character, but
No, I do
Good
think it's a
job.
different character, but it's not better than Vader or Mufasa.
oh, not better, no.
Yeah.
But
No,
I just we didn't mention it.
Correct,
I mean,
yeah,
or
yeah.
didn't go into it really. So I felt like we at least need to give it a run. Greg, did you come up with a seed list for the Waze voices?
No.
Shaq the 1 seed or Liam Neeson or Cookie Monster? Kids would love that.
Morgan Freeman's a 1 seed.
By the way, do your kids watch Sesame Street?
We've had it on. It's on Max.
I don't think my kids have ever seen it.
Yeah, it's on Max. So you got to be thinking about it. Like we spend most of our time on Disney Plus and Netflix. So I got to think to go to Max to be able to provide such entertainment. But yeah, they actually don't mind it.
Different times.
Yeah.
I lived on it as a kiddo.
No, I watched it a bunch when I was a
yeah.
kid, but I mean,
If you think you're better than it, that's fine.
not exactly what I said.
Right. I don't think
But-
anybody's better than this.
I did want to allow.
If you hate it, it's fine. Just tell us.
I did want to allow Damien to step in and have a discussion with us for just a moment. But first, I want to tell you about our friends at Wayne's. They've got that mosquito protection. And listen, it's going to be warm for a little while longer. It's not as hot, but the mosquitoes are still out. You don't want them in your yard. You don't want them in your outdoor spaces. And you know that you can handle that. You've also got the pest control. It's going to handle your termites and everything, Greg. But this is the time of year that you need to start getting that yard ready for the cold months, and Wayne's is here to help you with that.
Yeah, the environmental treatment's great, and you need to get out in front of it for, gosh, right now is really the time to do it. I mean, as the cold weather gets here, before it goes into dormant season, your lawn, you need the correct nutrients, pre-emergent, all that stuff to have a healthy, successful season next year, and they can treat and prepare it for the cold season ahead. When spring comes, it'll be ready to produce that beautiful weed-free lawn. So sign up for Wayne's Lawn Service today, and you'll get the first month free if you use the offer code JOX. That's JOX. That's offer code JOX if you go to callwaynes.com and let Wayne's continue to create your happy place.
I wanted to give Damien an opportunity to join our conversation here because I feel like we've only attacked this from one side. You and I both on board with not all the blame should be put in Payton Thorne's lap, and there was a lot of other things that can be corrected, that should be corrected. It sounds like, Damien, this morning you're on a completely different side of this, so I wanted to at least give you the opportunity to state your case on what should be done with the Auburn quarterback situation.
My biggest issue with Payton Thorne is at some point, when does he prove that he is consistently getting better? And I think that for everything that he's accomplished in his career, we're in year 4 of pretty much the Payton Thorne experiment. And, you know, a lot of things went into Saturday's game. I mean, we saw the offensive line still showing some inconsistencies. The receivers that everybody hyped up start to show that they're human as well. And I just think for the quarterback, for what Auburn wants to accomplish, he's got to take that. He has to bring them up. And I don't think that Payton Thorne has that in him. And if the people around him aren't playing at their absolute best, then I feel as though like Payton Thorne is kind of just, he doesn't give you that game-changing, I guess you'd say, play as a quarterback. And I don't think he can elevate his game from where he already is. And at some point, Hugh and it gets to a point where either the quarterbacks in that room have to show that they either want the job or also like have to improve as well. So if Payton Thorne is the end-all, be-all, then you have to be more realistic with the expectations of what Auburn wants to be moving forward. And
That's a totally different conversation of expectations and what they want to be. But as far as who should be the quarterback right now, I mean, you say somebody's got to show that they want it. What if he is the best option?
Then yeah, you just got to live and die with the results that you've been given. And it's not that he's been super elite at any time. Then you just got to be more realistic of where you think this Auburn team is going to be if he is still your quarterback. If he is the best option, and we've seen how bad it can be, we've seen how good it could potentially be depending on who you're playing, then you kind of just got to live with the results, which is he's a average quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever said he was going to be elite or great, but it felt like with some of the pieces around him improving and being a little bit better that he would have the opportunity to play better football. Do you think he should be a starting quarterback this weekend?
Yeah, but the leash is going to be short.
Well, again, it's a team that's given up 1,194 yards in 2 games. So I would imagine that if it didn't go well in this one, then you don't even need a leash anymore. How can you help him, Greg? Because one thing that I thought was interesting last night.
Recruiting better O-linemen.
Okay.
It's a good start.
That's a little bit down the road.
Run the ball.
But like one of the things that, and listen, this actually, if Auburn fans should be nervous about anything, and I don't think that this team is going to be a threat. This is not like the New Mexico State team last year. But Free said last night, you can bet the plan is going to be limited and it's going to be simple. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure I like hearing that for a multitude of reasons. I don't know where you are on that, Greg, but I don't feel great about that. Number one, you're not good enough on offense to just limit things. You need to run your offense. The players need reps and plays in the game that they're going to be able to utilize moving forward.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm on board with a super limited plan heading into this game.
No, I think a super limited plan is like they're young. I mean, come up with more creative stuff. Like use your stuff that's creative and come up with more creative stuff. Like, all you got to do is just change the picture. Everyone runs the same stuff. It's just the presentation is different. Like, hey, this week we're going to run this play. Let's say we run Cubelic right. We're running Cubelic right 100 different ways. Same play. It's just the formation might be different or the motion might be different or we shift to it or we do it out of shotgun or we do it out of pistol. We do it from under center one time. Like you can do the same plays over and over again, just different presentation. So I think you need to run what you run. And like limiting things to a vanilla playbook isn't going to allow for the reps at the most critical times. Like put it on tape and then have a counter off of it. Like Mike Norvell, it doesn't matter if he's playing Little Sisters of the Poor or Clemson. He's going to have things that he sets up for down the road. Once he puts something on tape, it's like he checks that box and then next time they show that exact same look, he has the counter off of it. So I think, like I've said from the past, when you are a play caller, your whole season is your storyboard. And you have to set stuff up to let it dissolve and then set things up, and you just go back and forth in a seesaw battle of will and might and execution. So I think it's a fascinating thing, but I don't think a lot of coaches think that big picture. I would think it would be beneficial, though, for them, especially with the young players they have.
And I'll go back to Jarquez Hunter. Damian said run the football. I would be with that. And now the offensive line has a little bit to say about that, but you had 14 drives. 5 of those started with a run from Jarquez Hunter. And I'm not saying that you need to run the ball on first down every single time. I get that. I know that. But I would lean on that just a little bit more. What do you have, 13 touches in the game? 12 carries in the reception? It's got to be more. It has to be more. So, all right, we'll talk more about...
How many offensive snaps do they have? Like, I think a lot of people, though, that's like one thing that... Let me look it up. That's one thing that sometimes frustrates me a little bit. We're like, I don't know why we don't run the ball more. Like, he needs more touches. Well, how many snaps did you have? Like, how many offensive plays did you have? And I think that's one thing that we need to look at. Like, I'll look it up right now. And it's a little bit dependent. I don't disagree. Like, I think you can always like any play that you hand to him is a good play in my book. You'll find no pushback from me. But guess what? You had 57 offensive plays. It means he accounted for nearly 25% of the plays in the game offensively.
In that kind of a game, Greg, not enough.
I don't disagree that it's not enough, but it's a little bit dependent on how many plays you have as an offense. Like if you were in the mid 70s, which is where he'd probably like to live from a snap rep count standpoint, live in the mid 70s, low 70s, yeah, you can justify 20 touches. But when you only have 57 touches in the game, that's hard. It's hard to distribute the ball that much to him.
It's hard.
The week before they had 46, by the way.
Yeah, it's hard to find a new home. It's hard sometimes to have an idea of what your home might be worth. You can go to GustyGoulasGroup.com right now on your phone. Go to the top of the page, push a button there, very little information, find out what your home value is right now. Gusty Goulas Group wants to help you sell your home, wants to help you get into a new home. If you just want to know your home's value, they can help you with that. 205-542-1996. Google Gusty Goulas Group, and you're going to see over 835-star Google reviews. Brokered by eXp Realty. Serve more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. And since 2012, Gusty Goulas Group recognized both nationally and locally as greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. So go check out what Gusty Goulas Group can do for you today. Call 205-542-1996 or go to GustyGoulasGroup.com. We'll talk more about plays, play selection, inside college football, and begin to get into a few of the games that we did not reference yet over the weekend. That's next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I would ask you to give your Bromberg's read, but I feel like people may be questioning your judgment after I share this with them, and that is that you do not like apple pie?
I don't like fruit pies.
No peach cobbler.
No peach cobbler.
I don't like fruit pies.
Tripping.
On Good Day, Alabama, they're making air fryer apple pie bombs.
I'll take one.
I like decadent pies. Like we were at.
It almost looks like a big round donut with apple pie in the middle of it. It's just like,
it does
sign
look,
me up.
It does look good. I just want it to be like some type of cinnamon filling or something. Like,
I'll agree with you. Cherry pie, I'm kind of out on that.
I'm just out on fruit pies. It's just not my thing. Like I like the decadent
blackberry
pies.
Cobbler? No,
I like Mayday pie or pecan or like chocolate pie.
What is Mayday pie?
It's basically derby, like a derby pie. Like it's basically like a chocolate pecan pie. The only reason I know this is because I was literally just had 3 of them last week in Kentucky. I'm gonna have 3 more this week.
Hanging with Jesse Palmer on the Bacon Show.
Where was that?
Wherever that place at Slacks takes you guys. I don't remember the name of it.
Tony's or Jeff Ruby's?
No, we didn't go to Jeff Ruby's. We
talking about the lunch spot?
Yeah.
Oh, with the big
hot browns? Yeah, I got the hot brown. I'll never have that again.
Yeah, no.
It's a little heavy.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Seems how you're going back.
That's right. It was your
again.
first time. You fell for everything.
I did.
Forgot.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, I won't be eating the hot browns.
This is what
I won't
happens
be
when-
ordering the hot browns.
What
this
happens
week.
when you don't have warm fruit?
I should have warned you. Just stay away from that. That's my bad. But you can tell our listeners about Bromberg's. You have good judgment there at least.
Yeah, Bromberg's great. And if you don't have good judgment, you have people that can help you. The sales staff is amazing. I've walked in, I've worked with many of their different salespeople. They've all given me a great experience. I've bought stuff for my wife, for myself, for my friends, for my family, for weddings, you name it, giftware, watches, fine jewelry. Just have a second to none experience when you shop at Bromberg's. The reason why they've been in business since 1836, the reason why they're one of the oldest family-owned businesses in the entire country. They also have that custom jeweler available to you if you want to do something that is one of a kind. You're going to have that luxury shopping experience every time you walk in Bromberg's, one of their 2 locations in Mountain Brook Village and the Summit. You can always shop online at brombergs.com.
So what other desserts would be your go-to if you had your choice? Creme brulee?
No. I'm an ice cream guy. Like just pretty standard ice cream guy. I like cakes. I like.
What about fruit in the ice cream?
I don't mind like a sorbet. Yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm definitely more of like a decadent person though. Like I like honestly.
know.
You tell me I
obvious.
can just have cookies. I'm good.
Okay.
You tell me I can have chocolate
How
chip
is
cookie.
that decadent?
We're good. Chocolate chip cookie to me is delicious. With ice cream on top, it's over. See ya. Call it a day.
Cookie cake?
You can have all this fancy stuff.
Cookie cake or regular
I
cake?
do like key lime pie, but that's not
No. You get a good. We had this.
Oh, yeah.
We had this
Yeah.
debate
Key
with
lime
Damien
pie's
one day.
good.
You get a good graham cracker crust on that
Oh,
thing.
man.
Oh,
Yeah, that is
rip
It's
it.
good. I don't want to eat like the whole thing.
Cheesecake?
I like cheesecake. Yeah, cheesecake's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. I'm not a huge dessert person.
No, I just
Like,
think
if
it's
you tell me
interesting that you just rule out the entire fruit pie category.
that's
I don't like them.
All
There
of
are
it.
some
Outta here.
exceptions to the rules.
No, I don't like them. Key lime pie is not a fruit pie. Like,
Yeah, it's a cheesecake with
it's a
different marketing.
cheesecake. Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Cookie cake or regular cake, if you had your choice.
Cookie cake.
Depends on the
It's a
kind of
tough
cake.
call for me, but I'm usually cookie cake.
Low
Depends on the
fro-
kind
I
of
want one of the pieces though with not a lot of frosting.
Leave.
You can have the frosting.
Get out of
Fatty.
the studio right now.
We are done with Greg for today.
Get out of here.
All right, perfect. See you guys tomorrow. You guys can do the hour 3 on the 7 seated days.
Gabe Iier talks Oklahoma next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. JocksFM.com. You can listen online. YouTube, search Jocks945. Tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jock skill. I think that's what Gabe Iier does, to listen to the show each and every day. 9 a.m. Tuesday, September 10th here on Jocks 94.5. It was great to see Gabe in Norman. We talked a lot about that offensive line when I was there over the weekend. Now we have a little bit more news, Gabe, that Garen Hatchett's going to be out for the year. Nick Anderson may be back soon for the Oklahoma Sooners. Just give us your thoughts on kind of what that does to the team moving forward from a health perspective, where they are now and maybe where they could be when they see Tennessee in 2 weeks.
Well, first of all, boys, great to be on with y'all. I'm a fan of the show. I actually listen on demand. I go podcast style. With your show, Cole. So I don't catch it. No. I'm not like Cole knows I consume his content because I text him about it. He knows. Calm down, McElroy.
You guys, I said fire. I said that's good.
You're good. He wasn't.
I thought you said liar.
No, I said fire.
Okay, I need to relax.
You need to relax.
You're right. I need to relax.
Take a knee.
I'm sorry, Greg.
It's early.
Okay, hold on. Let's call timeout. Let's regroup.
Let's get it together.
Okay, I'm back.
You jumped into the neutral zone, and that's a point of emphasis this year. That's all it was.
Fair enough. Well played. Now, looking at the health of the offensive line, it's hard to imagine it's going to get much better, guys. Branson Hickman got hurt 10 snaps into the opener. That was a big portal get for Oklahoma at the center position. He's got a high ankle. Cole, I know you played through a lot of stuff in your career. High ankles, they linger, and practicing and playing is not exactly how they get better. So we're probably not going to see Branson Hickman at 100% or close to 100% the rest of the season. Like, he's just going to have to battle through it, and we'll see if he's able to go this weekend, but certainly you're hoping he'll be out there in some capacity against Tennessee and what's going to be an awesome atmosphere in Norman, primetime ABC. But yeah, they're playing Jacob Sexton at left guard, who probably his best position is left tackle. They just had they've had to move so many pieces with so many guys being banged up throughout training camp. And now with Hatchett gone for the season, that takes one of a guy that's probably would have been continued to be a starter in your interior. You don't even have him not only as a starter, but as a depth piece now. So things are very, very thin at along the offensive line for Oklahoma. And one thing to note, Jake Taylor, their starting right tackle, as you know, Cole, because you were there, went out. He's dealing with 3 injuries now, and they inserted Logan Howland, a redshirt freshman, at left tackle, and he played pretty well for it being his first real action in college football. But next week, James Pierce and that Tennessee defensive line is coming to town. And you talk about a baptism by fire for Logan Howland, getting a guy that a lot of people think is going to be, at least a top 10 pick. Could get interesting, but they got to figure things out along the offensive line. That will help a lot of the issues that Jackson Arnold and this offense are having right now.
Well, is there a possibility, though, that this group seemingly comes together? I don't think I'm the only one that feels this way. Like, I'm a real believer in Bill Bedenbaugh. I think Bill Bedenbaugh is as good as it gets. I think they have everything you possibly want from a coaching staff standpoint. And frankly, I think Seth Luttrell's incredible. So I think they're going to have a coordinator that's going to put them in position to alleviate some of those concerns, whether it's moving the pocket, whether it's adjusting the change of the long point, whether it's screening them to death. Like, I think they can neutralize that pass rush, but it's not going to be easy. That's for sure. So one, can they get it fixed? And 2, how optimistic are you that they can?
I think they can get it fixed. So Bedenbaugh's first year at Oklahoma was my senior year. I could not have more respect for him as a football coach and as a man. He's fantastic. Like you said, Greg, he's as good as it gets. And then Seth Luttrell is just Oklahoma guy, was the captain there, was a fullback on the national championship team. Like he bleeds crimson and cream. Like these guys are my guys, but they got to get the run game going. And right now their core run is this, they call it an inside zone concept, kind of where they take inside footwork on the front side and kind of cave the backside, try to wash it down, and then kind of ride the wave with a cutback. It just has not gone well. They have not produced explosive runs. They have not found the consistency with that concept. And for whatever reason, they haven't gotten to all the counter stuff that Bill Beanbo has run in the past. He's the run game coordinator. He puts a lot of the plan together. Cole, this is something you and I talked about. I don't know why they haven't gotten to more of the counter stuff with how some of the inside zone concepts have struggled for them. We'll see if they do this weekend against Tulane. I think if they can just get the run game going, if they can get to their counter stuff, if they can get to maybe some pin pull and get out on the edges of the defense and let their backs work in a little more space, then maybe this offense just really rounds into form based on just having a more efficient run game. Right now, you go turn on the tape of the Houston game. It's pretty clear to me that Houston wasn't very scared of Oklahoma's passing attack. And they've got to be able to connect. If teams are going to play relatively aggressively in coverage, like Jackson Arnold has to connect on deep shots to Brendan Thompson and Deion Burks and hopefully Nick Anderson here soon, or else you're going to continue to struggle in the run game because you're going to be at a box count disadvantage. And that's just, it's, as you know, Greg, it's just all connected right now. And the unfortunate part for Oklahoma is you really can't point to anything offensively currently that they are doing at a high level. And that needs to get corrected as soon as possible.
Gabe Iier, he is a part of the Oklahoma radio broadcast team, played at Oklahoma. You can find his podcast as well anywhere you get yours alongside Teddy Lehman. Here's the thing, Gabe, is defensively, I thought this team had a chance to be elite. We know they have a couple of elite players. The defensive line, I think, has exceeded expectations so far. Now, individually, we didn't see as many one-on-one wins as we did the previous week. I thought they were a little less active last week, but you have to explain to me your thoughts, and then how concerned should Oklahoma fans be with some of the behavioral issues towards the end of that game? Billy Bowman obviously is not a guy I would ever expect to get a personal foul late in the game when essentially you have a chance to lock the game up. He and Kendall Dolby both. And then obviously what happened offensively with Garen Hatchett late in the game taking his helmet off. I mean, I don't – is this something that Oklahoma fans should be concerned with moving ahead?
I don't think so. Yeah, if you want to get my full thoughts on Josh Bates taking his helmet off, giving Houston another possession in that football game, you can go ahead and go listen to Teddy and I's podcast. I got a little Tiger got out of the cage momentarily about that one, Cole. But yeah, I'm not worried about it. I think that Brent Venables and this coaching staff does a tremendous job of instilling discipline in this football team. And they've got a lot of high character guys on this football team. And now that, I mean, let's be real, it nearly cost them a game. They could have lost the football game because Houston got the ball back because of what Josh Bates did. And luckily they can point to this and say, hey, no one do any of this dumb stuff again. And they can point to it knowing that they won that football game. So it could have been catastrophic, right? But it wasn't. I'm not worried about that. I think the defense has a chance to be one of the better units in the SEC. They're playing at a high level. Danny Stutzman's one of the best linebackers in all of college football. He's playing at an extremely high level. I think that where they can improve, and this is something that Teddy and I talked about on the podcast is the violence at the point of attack. I think it can be turned up. I think right now they've been able to get away with, playing a little high because of the quality of offensive lines that they've played. Tennessee's going to bring a good group. Tulane, I mean, their offensive line is going to be the best that OU's seen this weekend. I mean, that defensive line got to play with a little lower pads, and they got to crank up the violence. They need to improve some of their things in zone coverage, especially underneath at the linebacker in the nickel spot. And I think they can do that. I think they can squeeze some of the space a little better in zone coverage. And then right now, when you turn the tape on, there are snaps where you go, oh my gosh, Oklahoma is flying around defensively. But it's not every snap. And my hope is that when you almost lose a football game to Houston, that sense of urgency really turns up. They've been good on defense. The defense has not been the problem. I am nitpicking like hell right now. But if you want to be, they're good right now. They're good on defense. With the way that things are going offensively, they need to be elite for this football team to have a quality season. So there's improvement to be made on the defensive side as well, even though it's clearly the strength of the football team.
Are there concerns about Jackson Arnold so far? I mean, I think what I've watched, it's been fine. I'm not super concerned at all. I think that anything I've seen from him feels like kind of about where he should be at this point of his development. So have you heard any buzz, or are you feeling anything about him that maybe you'd like to see done a little better?
Well, Greg, I mean, I'm not going to pretend I know more about quarterback play than you, but I think the thing that stands out to me was that the decision-making is good. It just feels a little slow.
Yeah.
It just feels like he's getting to the right place. It's just taking him account too long to let it rip. And you compare what we saw, and I know Quinn Ewers is playing at a high level, and that was a really, really impressive performance by Texas in Ann Arbor. But you go and look at how many anticipatory throws Ewers makes in that game, where the ball's out before the guy is making his break, or right when he's making his break, and he kind of knows where the defense is. And that stuff comes with experience. Jackson Arnold isn't quite there. I think he can get there. I think the kid is made of the right stuff. I think he's got all the talent in the world. The most important thing, I believe, is that he doesn't lose his confidence. Cole and I watched him get a little tight late in that Houston game. He was aiming the ball, it looked like to me, wasn't letting it rip, and just had a lot of off-target throws in some key situations. So he has not played up to his standard. But I think the guy's wired the right way, and I'm interested to see how he bounces back against Tulane. We'll see how he handles a little adversity, and I expect him to play at a higher level, because you go back and you look at the Houston game, the pass protection was good, Greg. It was solid. I mean, it's not like he's getting a ton of pressure. He needs to learn to trust the pocket a little more, which I know is hard for a young quarterback, especially when you're shuffling all the pieces that they're shuffling on the offensive line. But there's just no doubt in my mind that Jackson Arnold can play at a much higher level than he's played at through 2 games.
All right, Gabe, this is fast forwarding a little bit, and I know there's another game to worry about for both teams, but you brought up the Oklahoma defense. You brought up the Tennessee game. We've talked a lot about the Oklahoma offense. Specifically in that matchup, how do you see this Oklahoma defense matching up against the Vols offense?
Well, I think we're all interested to find out. I think Nico Iamaleava I think that guy's got the goods, man. I think Tennessee spent their NIL dollars wisely on that young man. He looks really good. And the thing and remember, Josh Heupel was my offensive coordinator for a couple seasons at Oklahoma. And the offense he's running now it's got some differences than the offense that he ran when I was playing in it. But he wants to run the rock. He wants to run the rock. Like I know that, he's a former quarterback, but that's what he wants to do. He wants to bludgeon you with the run game. And that will open up all the RPO stuff and pushing it down the field, because then if you're just getting gashed in the run game, that's when he says, okay, let's take our shots. And that's the formula for Tennessee. Everyone wants to talk about Nico, and rightfully so. The guy looks spectacular, but Sampson in that running game, I really like what it's looked like early. They run counter in so many different effective ways. And I just think that with the way they're able to spread you out, it comes down to winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. Because with the way they're able to spread you out, the numbers aren't always in your advantage as a defense, just with how you have to play some of the things because of the threat of their passing attack. So that's the battle. The battle's going to be Cooper Mays, that Tennessee offensive line against Oklahoma's defensive line, and, an inside backer too. Like, hey, who's more violent? Who's more physical? On a down-to-down basis, who whips who? And then you cannot, if you're Oklahoma's defense, you can't give up 60-yard touchdowns in the passing game. You can't let that happen. And I mean, there's just no doubt that Tennessee they got some wide receivers that can absolutely go. I mean, Thornton, McCoy, Squirrel White, these guys can run. But I think the football game, just when it comes to those two sides, it'll be determined by the battle at the line of scrimmage. That's kind of how I think all football games are. But Tennessee, if you make them one-dimensional, it's a whole lot easier to play defense against them. The question is, hey, can Oklahoma stop a rushing attack that has looked really, really good through a couple games?
Absolutely. Gabe, great stuff. Appreciate the time, and look forward to catching up soon. It's great to see you this weekend.
It is so weird to be in the SEC. This is so fun. I love you guys. This is great.
Why is the SEC so much fun, pal?
Does it mean more to you?
It just means more.
That's
it just means more. Watching Cole's Sunday recap of all the games, like, I was exhausted for you, Cole. I watched it last night in bed. I was like, this guy is just, no one grinds more in sports media than you two boys. I appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you, Gabe, and look forward to having you back soon, man.
All right, boys. Take care. Have a great Tuesday, everybody.
7 seed of days, according to Greg McElroy, but we'll try to make it great. Oklahoma was cool, man. You've done a game there, right?
I haven't.
No?
No.
It's different out there. I'll say this. It's different, but once it gets close to kick, it feels very SEC-ish.
What's different about it? Not saying it's wrong, just curious.
One, super flat.
Yeah, very
obviously,
flat.
but I mean, Texas is very similar. But
super flat, small trees. Yes. What else?
So like the sunrises and sunsets are awesome.
Super, super long.
So cool.
It's sunny forever in Oklahoma and Texas.
There's a lot of certain shops and stores that are prevalent that maybe not be here or in some other SEC towns.
Okay.
For your medical enjoyment.
Like your CBD store?
Maybe a rung or two past that.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Just a lot out there. Tom Hart brought this up, and I would have never noticed this. A lot of nose rings.
In Oklahoma?
Yes. Well, Norman.
Amongst the kids or adults?
I didn't go. I went to the Oklahoma City airport and then around Norman, so I didn't go I didn't go to Stillwater.
Fair enough. But
now let me throw this at you real quick. This will blow your mind. An individual on our crew, because Tom was a little bit hung up on this all weekend, and after he kept talking about it, I kept noticing oh, okay, yeah, okay, another yes. Well, I don't care, but it's just like I wouldn't have thought of it until he brought it up.
Studs or like the loop?
He thinks more rings than studs. I think I saw more studs. I call it the bone, like the Flintstones bone across the bar. Now, a young lady on our crew told us that up until very recently, not long ago, this individual grew up, I think, in Oklahoma City, and said the big deal was spring break, you would go down to Dallas to get your piercings and tattoos. Because up until, I guess this was probably early 90s, mid 90s, tattoos and extra piercings, more than one. So I guess that depends on where your one initial is.
Correct.
You couldn't, it was illegal.
Oh.
Now, this is an individual who grew up there, so I'm going to take their word for it. I don't know this. But tats and extra, quote fingers, piercings were illegal.
Huh.
This
They also had 3-2 beer for a long time.
Sorry?
3-2 beer. Near beer. I'm not sure when they got rid of it.
Like tubes in your ears?
3-2 beer.
What is that?
Is that a play call?
3.2% alcohol.
Ace
beer.
right.
Also
choice
known,
flip. 3-2 beer on one. Ready? Right.
Also known as near beer. 3-2 beer states. So the 3.2 beer. Yes. So the 3.2 beer as of 2019. I don't know if it's still going on, but 3.2% alcohol in beer is low.
Get McLaren on.
So
real.
Now
low.
we know McLaren migrated south down to
Yes.
Dallas.
So this is why it took him forever to join the league.
Yes, 3-2 beer.
Okay.
Colorado, Utah, and Oklahoma.
Makes so
were
much
the
sense.
three.
So it sounds like Dallas was like the New Orleans of the Midwest.
So like Sodom and
yeah.
Gomorrah.
Dallas is basically Vegas.
Man, we can't get our high pressure point alcohol here. I need an extra piercing. Let's go down to Dallas.
Oh, here
Yeehaw!
we go. Hang on a second. Here we go. Look at this. The end of the road for 3-2 beer.
Oh, it's so natural?
Did they sell Marlboro Reds in
as of May
Oklahoma
31st, as of May 31st, 2021, all 3-2 beer products are dead. We are back.
Well, let me just say this. You don't have to worry about that because if you get your medical card, you can walk no more than 500 feet in any direction and find one of those shops in Norman. I'll just say that. And I don't care about it, but I didn't think there'd be that much.
This sounds like this town went through Footloose. You couldn't dance, you couldn't do nothing.
No
and
piercing.
then something happened, and then all of a sudden weeds everywhere. You could get multiple piercings now.
Brandy walks in there with a nose ring and she's like, but I don't have earrings.
Hang on, what's that song?
I got
Cross Canadian ragweed.
Ragweed, yeah.
Wagon wheel.
No, the boys from Oklahoma roll their joints all wrong.
Oh.
Too dang skinny and way too long. You never heard that song? I ain't no holy roller.
No,
I know, but it sounds like a great pregame song for when Oklahoma comes to
Correct,
your town.
It's a
right
good.
in.
I think it's Cross Canadian ragweed.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Be
Oh,
happy
stop.
you aren't.
I haven't heard the tape.
Be happy you
on
aren't. Yeah.
Cross Canadian
You
ragweed.
are a hater.
The old regime was all about him. That's
Be
all I'll
honest.
say. So,
Yep, Cross Canadian ragweed. Boys from Oklahoma. Yeah, good song.
How many times they play at the War Eagle Supper Club? I feel like a lot.
That feels like a Deke special down on the plains.
We'll be back right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Commercial debate. Could you spend $60 million a year? Greg says no. I say absolutely. Easily.
I think it'd be really hard to spend that much money, dude.
I watched Richard Pryor do it in the 80s. I definitely could do it now.
Unless you were just living beyond extravagantly, it'd be hard to do.
Well,
Have you seen how much Cole likes shoes?
Trust me.
They're $150 a pop.
We could get there. We could get there on travel alone. Because we just purchase our own.
Where are you traveling?
We'll purchase our own plane. Done. By the way, that's a down payment on the plane that I want.
Oh, so you're trying to go Gulfstream.
Why not?
All right.
If I got another 60 coming next year, okay. All I got to do is not rip an Achilles. We're good. We're referencing Steph Curry, by the way.
Oh.
Because I saw Trey Young in Oklahoma. He was at the game. Super nice. And looked up his salary when somebody was popping off on Instagram about him, looking like a bum. It's like, well, it's a bum that makes $43 million a year. 43?
Not lifetime.
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve
This
it,
year.
but that's just like,
Yeah.
that's just a big number, man. That's a big number, I feel like, for a career contract, like for the entire contract, the life of a contract. 43 a year, and Steph's getting 60. You can get a lot of CBD at your CBD store with that. A lot of products to help you sleep, arthritis, anxiety for you or your pets. They can help you with that at the largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world, focusing their attention on being the best plant science company out there. Hundreds of different extracts and plants. Your CBD store, first company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. They've got the stamp seal on those products. Visit one of their 4 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trustful just off 459, and now downtown in 5 Points. Your CBD store where good health hits home. Also, you know, a lot of people, Greg, kind of have fun with some of the A&M traditions.
Yeah.
About how like they're a little bit different, a little bit weird.
Right.
What do they call the people who do the Sooner Schooner? The
Weirdos?
Roughnecks?
I think so.
There's a little bit of it's just a little.
Comparables?
They carry paddles around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You do that in college, you're either in a fraternity or you're a roughneck, I guess. Not.
They carry it around all the time?
It's in their back pocket during the game.
Yeah.
Oh,
With a
during the
rope
game.
tied to their belt.
Well, during the game, it's fine. But is it
I
all
didn't
the
see
time?
them away from the game. Sorry. I don't know what they do.
I don't know. I'm not as familiar with Oklahoma's traditions.
There's also random moments that they fired the guns. Like you score a touchdown, I get it. Extra point, overkill. Every kickoff, is that necessary? Because you're already doing it when you score and the extra point. Well, guess what happens next? You kick off. So we know we just gotta keep. It's a lot. It was cool though. It's a very cool place.
I gotta
It was
look
loud.
up. I'm curious now. Now you got my wheels spinning. I am genuinely curious
about the legality of tattoos in Oklahoma.
No,
in the 90s?
I didn't. I
am
mean,
too.
I've been to Norman
The
a
nose
handful of times, and I just don't remember it being
itching?
it anyway.
When was the last time?
2016.
Okay, well then
Yeah.
find out when the law changed, and that's probably has a
I
lot
bet
to do with
you it was
Post
probably
2016.
2021.
Yeah.
COVID, the world shut down, and Oklahoma's like, we need this money, boys.
They
it.
ride.
They said it like that.
Probably. We're going to have to relax our morals.
No, you know what? I probably. I don't remember the last time, but it's been a while since I've been back there. I think 2016 was the last time I was in Norman.
It's different in a good way, but it feels there's a lot of it that feels SEC, and it was a great experience. It was cool. Joe Castiglione, awesome. Coach Venables was awesome. The atmosphere lived up to every bit of the hype. It's a cool place to watch a game. I will say that. Very cool place. And it's just it's for people here, us. I do think it's easy sometimes to forget how much history that place has. I'm not talking about all of it, but just that football program. It is insane. You walk in that stadium and you see the different play. Like you forget about, man, Tommy Harris was like really good. Yeah, Trent Williams played here. Yeah. And then you start going through the quarterbacks. Goodness gracious.
Hey, DeMarco Murray. Oh, that guy.
Yeah, well, he was just like an afterthought here.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews. No one even talks about him. I mean, it just goes and goes and goes, and you're like, yeah. And then you get back to some of the old school guys. It's like, wow, it's unbelievable. Let's get Bout It Bout It. We do it each and every week. We celebrate individual greatness regardless of the team outcomes, and we may have an all-timer for you today.
Bout it, bout it.
Going to be honest with you guys, I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like this in the history of Bout It or football. You guys familiar with Elba High School?
That sounds familiar.
I bet Damien knows it.
He would.
How about Elba running back Alvin Henderson?
Okay.
Alvin! That's what the defense was yelling 40 times in this game. Because that's how many times he ran the ball.
Forte? Wow. Okay.
You're thinking, that's a lot of carries. You're probably thinking, well, how many yards did he have on those 40 carries? $441.
11 per?
Whoa.
That's a 4 in front of a 4 in front of a 1 altogether.
11 per?
9 touchdowns.
9. A niner.
Oof.
Now start the music again. Because we celebrate individual greatness regardless of what your team did in Bout It Bout It.
Mm-hmm.
And Elba lost to McKenzie 80-78.
Ooh, that's wow.
One man.
I think you should bench Payton Thorne.
One man. One man ran for 441 yards and 9 touchdowns, and his team lost 80-78. I do have one question on this game. Did you allow him to play defense? Because if not,
that's on you.
I have questions.
Yeah. All it took was one stop.
Just one.
If so, I need to know who plays for McKenzie.
The monster.
Because you took a 40 for 441, 9 touchdown performance, and somehow, some way, you not only matched it, you overcame it. So maybe the McKenzie offense is Bout It for putting up 80, but Alvin Henderson, Auburn commit, good Lord. 40 for 441 and 9 touchdowns in a game. He was?
Bout it.
Oh, yeah, he gets double for carrying that team.
Love that. Obi,
I'm familiar with this game. I'm familiar with this game.
Normally that's 1, but no, he gets 2.
Did you watch the Arkansas Oklahoma State game, correct?
I did.
Number 33 for Oklahoma State, Obi Ezigbo. Oh my. Dude was everywhere on the field. Not a huge guy, but like run around. He was on the edges some. Like he was creating a lot of problems. 7 pressures, 2 sacks, and just constantly living in the backfield. So Obi Ezigbo was
Bout it.
But he's not the only one. There were a lot of guys that I thought had great defensive performances. You know me. I like to go defense mostly in these scenarios because anyone can find a running back. So I'm also going to give a little love to a guy that I thought was pretty dang solid in the performance on Saturday. He had 3 PBUs, was the second most in the entire country, and I loved his name. Hershey McLaurin.
Yep.
For Houston.
They call him the old man.
He looks like an old man, doesn't he?
Yes.
How old is he?
I don't know. He's been playing college football for a while.
Well, he had a pretty good day. They were trying to go after him a few times. He was involved. I mean, he was playing basically on the right side of the offense, and they tried to go after him a handful of times. 3 PBUs though, and really made life difficult. So Hershey McLaurin, not related to McLaren, was
Bout it.
I like that. Well, I'll take you up north. We're going to East Lansing, Michigan. It could be because of the number that he wears, but receiver Nick Marsh, 8 catches, 194 yards and a tutty in a 27-24 victory over Maryland. Michigan State Spartans wide receiver Nick Marsh, he was.
Bout it.
You bet he was. Great number, too.
If I were to tell you that last week this guy went 27 of 39, 354 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and an interception. By the way, that's 69.2% completion percentage. You think he'd have a pretty good day, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
What if I told you he improved the next week against better competition?
I would say, tell me how.
That was one Kyle McCord.
What?
Last week, he put that up against Ohio and against Georgia Tech, went 32 of 46 for 69.6, damn near 70% completion percentage, 381 yards, and 4 touchdowns as well. Heading into this season, Kyle McCord had 3 300 passing yard games throughout his career. He's had 2 both games this season. Kyle McCord definitely was.
Bout it.
Absolutely. One man's trash is
another man's treasure.
Popping bottles and champagne.
I also want to give a little love to the right side of the Oklahoma State offensive line.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
those guys played their tails off. Now,
we will allow it.
The left guard, not great. But the right side, I thought, had a very nice day. And I also think appropriately enough, because it just feels like the right thing to do. I'm also going to give a little love to the left side of the Arkansas offensive line. Like I didn't think the right side was quite as good. And I think the center had its fair share of struggles. But I thought the left side of the offensive line for Arkansas was pretty good. Whether it
Put
was
those two together, and you've got a good offensive line.
there you go. I think they should just take the left guard and the left tackle from Arkansas, take the center through right tackle at Oklahoma State, and we got action.
What were the PFF grades though? That's
I don't care about that.
Oh.
Probably a 0.
What was their blown block percentage?
I just want to throw the name out because UMass is 0-2 on the season, by the way. But quickly, because I think we just sometimes forget these things. Tyson Pumachan.
Oh, yeah.
26 of 40, 259, touchdown and a pick. Ran 22 times for 44 yards and a rushing touchdown. I'm still going to let him be.
About it.
Yeah, that's probably just 1. I mean, it's not like not super incredible, but yeah, we're gonna give him 1. All right. When we come back, more college football next. Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. G-Mac, I want to go a little bit rapid fire on some games we haven't gotten to yet over the weekend. You just kind of give me your thoughts. Damien, you want to chime in, you can. John, also 9:42, Tuesday, September 10th, here on Jocks 94.5. I told you I watched this on the plane last night. Northern Illinois 16, Notre Dame 14. The offensive line, holy mother. I mean, just bad. Riley Leonard, not good. You have anything you want to add to that in that game?
Yes, I think the receivers leave a little bit desired. I do feel bad because Riley Leonard's taking a lot of the blame. I thought he had the first pick was late as can be. The last pick, I don't know what he was thinking. But all in all, I mean, the O-line was terrible. And I don't think the receivers create a lot of separation, which is a problem.
Oregon 37, Boise 34. Boise goes to 1-1, Oregon 2-0. Ashton Jeanty, 25 for 192, 3 touchdowns. This reminded me of Notre Dame v. Clemson a couple of years ago when they ran duo like 72 times. If you would like to see a clinic on the run play duo, watch Boise against Oregon and watch Ashton Jeanty cut that thing back and just work that Oregon defense. I think it gave me some concerns about Oregon's defense. And
bro, they got problems.
Their offensive line has not been great this year. So yeah. But I think Boise's a pretty good football team too, though.
Boise is a good football team.
A couple cracks by those wide receivers. Ooh, watch out for those kids now.
Their O-line's a problem though. If you think that that's going to get corrected overnight, I think Oregon's got some issues. I watched yesterday. I was really unimpressed.
How about this one, Greg? Illinois takes down Kansas 23-17. The Fighting Illini 2-0 on the season. You impressed?
Yeah.
Feel good?
I think Luke
Altmaier for Heisman?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do think that there's I didn't get to watch all of that game. I got to watch bits and pieces of it. I watched the condensed game. So I was curious about it just like you. And I think that Illinois is actually probably going to be all right. I think a lot of people probably a year early on them last year. I think they're going to be all right.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I feel like that's a compliment to me. I'm going to take it that way.
Definitely
so thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you saw the vision.
Hey, they're a year early. It's happened before.
Jalen Daniels 3 picks in that game. Not great. Iowa State gets by Iowa 20-19. Iowa State, you told us kind of a little sleeper in the Big 12 there. Nobody was talking about. Now they're sitting there at 2-0, and they got the Cy-Hawk Trophy.
Yep. And how about the offensive explosion in the second half? I mean, they got a receiver who's a dude. They got, I think Beck looked pretty good second half of that game. So, are you snoring?
Those are my explosion sounds.
Oh, I thought you were snoring.
No, they're blowing up.
But they had a couple big plays. I mean, you don't hit a lot of big plays on Iowa, man. It's not a group that gives up big plays. They just don't. But they have legit dude at wide receiver, and I think Rocco Beck is getting more and more comfortable. So, a lot to feel good about.
Jalen Noel, 5 for 133 and a touchdown. Beck was 23 of 35, 272, 2 touchdowns and interception. So they got it done. Syracuse gets by Georgia Tech 31-28. Syracuse 2-0. John just had their quarterback Bout It Bout It. So are they a threat? Could they be a threat?
We tried to tell you how many months ago. I said they're going to be 9-3.
You did.
They might not be any good, but they're going to be 9-3.
You did say that.
If you go 9-3, you got some good in there somewhere. Somewhere.
We tried to tell you.
And finally, Clemson 66-20 over App. Holy mother.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
It's like you're saying mom and pop's
this is
team.
not the app that rolled into Neyland and kept it close or went into the big house and got a win. That's a little different. Joey Aguilar,
no, you don't know
18
that.
of 41.
Ooh.
You don't know that.
Klubnik 378, 5 touchdowns, no picks. Maffa 10 for 118. Bryant Wesco, 3 for 130. Bringing Stool, 7 for 100, 2 touchdowns. Greg, it was 35-0 in the end of the first quarter.
Yes. Not good. Wow. Not what you want.
That was a bad coach. Okay.
Clemson is back.
Oh, boy.
I'm telling you, the perception of Clemson after week 1 versus the reality of Clemson after week 1 is not fair. Georgia's really good.
Yeah.
And no one expects Clemson to be competing for a title, but I do think Clemson could still be very much a factor in the ACC.
Yeah,
like, they're going to be all right. They're going to be fine.
Okay, so that's just a couple games that we had not spent a lot of time on thus far. We'll move on to our bad box score of the day on the other side. But before we move on to that, tell people how they can move out of their home.
Crocker Movers are a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring moves trust, complete full background checks, and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home. They need your whole home packed to move, your company headquarters across the country, or you just want them to come rearrange the living room. These guys got you covered. They also deliver for furniture that you personally to get to your home. So call visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingservice.com. It's crockermovingservice.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Service for your next move.
Bad box score of the day next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 9:50, Tuesday, September 10th, right here on Jocks 94.5.
Well, Polar Bear Service, they're experts in HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, and hot weather's here. Higher temperatures here. We know the long summers probably put your system to the test. We'll get it checked out by the independent trained dealer at Polar Bear Service. They do system tune-ups, duct cleaning, repair, new installations of those reliable train units. And we know the cold weather will be here in a couple months, so if you need them to come out before wintertime, you need to get out in front of it. Remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. That's 497-BEAR.
All right, so get to our bad box score of the day. I'll fully admit I almost don't like doing this one, but we're going to throw it in there nonetheless. Go to the junior college ranks again. The Snow Junior College.
The Informers.
No, they are the Wildcats.
No, they're not. Gregory?
I'll say the Terminators.
They're the Badgers.
Oh,
yeah, Badgers.
That was right there.
This is why I don't like doing this, but we're going to. They just snuck. They got to 3-0, by the way. They just snuck past the Air Force Prep
Falcons, am I wrong?
I'm going to
They're not
say
the Falcons,
okay,
but
pilots.
you are right about the actual Air Force Academy,
Right,
yes, but
just
they,
assume.
oddly enough, are not.
The Blue Falcons.
They are the Huskies.
Oh.
Which I guess if you're going to lose a game 62-0, I probably wouldn't want you having our normal mascot either. Like you have to wait and earn that one.
Earn it.
62-0, like I said. Total offense was 399 to 120. Now, it went a little bit of a different way than you would imagine in a couple ways. 243 passing for Snow, 54 for Air Force. But on the ground, 156 for Snow, 66 for Air Force. That was on 45 carries, by the way.
Ouch.
Not great. Josiah Bushnell's 4 of 6 for 30 yards passing. Evan Metters 3 for 6, 24 yards passing for Air Force. Donnie Smith for Snow. He was informed, going 18 of 30, 243 yards, 5 passing touchdowns, no interceptions.
You lick your boom down. Okay.
Adonis Tillman, 15 carries, 111 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns.
Have yourself a day.
For Snow.
No.
As they take one version of the bad box score of the day. I'll quickly tell you about Game Day Men's Health and what they can do for you. They want to help your overall health. That's what they want to do, is get you in and take a holistic approach to health and wellness. You can schedule a free consultation right now at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Go schedule that, and this is what you're going to get. A no-charge consultation, a free testosterone test, and a free PSA test. Weight loss advice and products that are going to be there to help you out. Trying to help me with my health, they can help you with yours. Mention Cube, C-U-B-E, save 10% on any service that they offer. Get all the facts right now at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Listen, it's a locker room environment. No pressure, not going to try to force you anything that you want to do. And the big differential, minimal upfront cost for the programs that they offer at Game Day Men's Health. Book your appointment now at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, so we will stay in the junior college ranks for another bad box score of the day. Butler Community College.
They are the Jeffries.
I'm going to say Bulldogs.
Close.
That's the real school.
They are the Terriers.
They're the Bears. They just snuck past the Ellsworth College.
They're the Elks.
They're not.
No, the Ellsworth, they are the Fancy Pants.
Ellsworth Panthers.
Oh, what's out there?
Butler just got past Ellsworth with 35 points in the third quarter, by the way, 66-0.
Whew.
Okay.
Ooh, good coach.
Total offense, 549 to 231. Wasn't a great day passing for Ellsworth as they were outpassed 322 to 126. They were outrushed 227 to 105. Some big days, that means, for Vinny Smith. Oh, Vin.
Vinny.
Running the football for Butler, 16 for 157 and a touchdown.
Attaboy.
Davion Walker, receiver for Butler, 5 catches, 132 yards.
He had a day.
But how about Jalen Williams?
How about him?
Receiving 3 catches, only 68 yards, all 3 for touchdowns.
Okay. Have yourself a day, my
Big
brother.
day. Bout It Bout It.
Mac Armstrong, 7 of 15, 181, 2 touchdowns. Mason McHugh, 8 of 14, 141, 2 touchdowns.
Everyone ate.
Well, not the Ellsworth quarterbacks. Kellen Cockrell, 8 of 17, 92 yards, no touchdowns and a pick. Stephen Working took the day off, going 2 of 7 for 29 yards.
I like that.
And Gabriel Robinson, 2 for 4 for 5 yards.
Cuckoo.
Now, Gabe Ricketts did come in and go 0 for 1.
All right, Ricketts.
They got a lot of depth.
Well, 66-0, I think you just start rolling them in there. Actually, you know what? You and Conrad would be Ellsworth fans. They just play all the quarterbacks.
So I guess in their talk radio, they're calling for Ricketts to play now? Okay.
Guys, I saw Ricketts one throw.
Put him in.
Get him in there.
Definitely better.
Ellsworth did not have a TFL in the game.
Well,
or a
that's not
sack.
good. That's not good at all.
You know what? Their front 7 had to replace a lot this year. 66-0. I'd find a lot to replace there overall. All right, great show today. Pat Dly joined us, Andy Burcham, Gabe Iier. We got Bout It Bout It. You got the top 3. You can get all of those segments at JocksFM.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get yours. You can get them there. We're going to be back tomorrow, 7 to 10 a.m. We start rolling into week 3. We've got some big matchups. Some injury reports coming out. How's that going to affect some of these teams coming into the next week? We'll tell you what we saw on different film of different teams and continue to talk quarterback situations across the Southeastern Conference and all of college football. But three-man front's going to do all that and more next